We were notified verbally by Deputy Chief Willever of the appointment of Mr. Mazur.
So there hasn't been any notification to the public that we have a new acting director in the fire department?
Not to the best of my knowledge, ma'am.
All righty. Thank you. We can move forward.
Yes, ma'am. The roll is called. We'll now proceed to docket review. But prior to docket review, we do have a walk-on resolution for immediate consideration. Madam President, would you like me to proceed?
Yes, please.
I'm going to have to read this into the record as I only sent it to the City Council a little while ago. So this is Resolution 20-650, a resolution authorizing emergency appropriations to the state fiscal year 2021 temporary budgets of the City of Trenton Current Fund. Whereas an emergency has arisen with respect to providing funds for the operation of the City of Trenton Current Fund, and no adequate provision has been made in the state fiscal year 2021 temporary budget for certain purposes, and NJSA 40A-4-20 provides for the creation of an emergency appropriation for certain purposes as listed below. And whereas the total emergency temporary resolutions adopted for fiscal year 2021 pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 96 of Public Law 1951, including this resolution, total $80,958,457.18. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Trenton, by not less than 2/3 of all members thereof affirmatively concurring, that in accordance with NJSA 40A-4-20, the following emergency appropriations are hereby adopted as follows. Council operating expenses, $35,000. This is for immediate consideration at tonight's meeting. Do I have an introduction?
So move.
I have an introduction by Councilmember Vaughn.
Second.
I have a second by Councilmember Caldwell-Wilson. I will now call the roll unless is there any debate on the issue?
Yes, I just have some questions that I need to get answered. So the council at the end of the year last year had no funds in the city clerk's budget. So the council passed a resolution, and they transferred $16,000 into the clerk's budget. And so what I would like to know is, moving forward, when there's emergency appropriations, why isn't the clerk's office getting a portion of that money as is every other department? Because if we had a line item in our budget for $50,000 and we're supplying financial needs to the city, why is it that when that money is appropriated by this body, that a portion of that money is put into the clerk's budget? I just need to know that.
Mr. Cruz and Ms. Schoenar, there's a question from the council president on the floor.
Yes, hi, this is Adam Cruz, business administrator. Madam President, to your question, the money is up whenever we begin a new year. There is a 26.5% of every line item that the city used the previous year is funded. So if you're referring to the, I don't know what line item you're referring to, Madam President, but every time that we do a quarterly emergency appropriation until the budget is adopted, every line item in the city also gets funding. But if you give me what line item you're referring to, I'll be able to maybe assist you.
I was referring to the line item that Councilwoman Caldwell-Wilson had added to the council's budget for legal consultant. For a legal consultant. So yes, there was no monies there at all. And so when we did the first appropriation, was a portion of that appropriation supposed to go in there? Or I'm just trying to figure out how we got to zero on that line?
At the end of the fiscal year, all of the money that is not used goes into the general fund, Madam President. So at the end of June 30th, if there was money left in your legal account line item, that money went into the general fund. July 1st, you begin a new fiscal year, and now we appropriate 26.5% for the initial appropriation as allowed by law. We had, for this year, I believe we had appropriated, we are beginning the year with the same amount of last year, which last year you had $40,000 in that line item. We appropriated $8,000 for this year, and now there were legal fees that were paid, I guess, up until now. And so of the $8,000 that you had left, that you started the year with, money was used, and that's why you didn't have enough funding. But you would not have enough funding for the purpose that I was when Council Vice President came to visit me, you needed $35,000. So even if you had $8,000, it never would have been enough. So that's the reason why you now need to do an emergency appropriation to cover those expenses.
So maybe someone, we could get on with the vote, but I would still like for someone to answer the question as to why these funds are not coming out of the legal department funding.
I can continue with my answers, Madam President, if that is what you wish. The reason why the funding is not coming from the law department is because in order for you to have coverage there, you would need to select a law firm from the list of already approved attorneys that had been selected and adopted by council. And those fundings were actually to cover those law firms. There is no bucket of money that sits there to wait to see what expenses come in the future. And so if there's a need for additional attorneys, then we need to go through the procurement process, identify the funding, the new funding. In this case, the funding is not in the law department because that money is already set aside for those law firms that you awarded contracts to in the beginning of the year. So that's the reason why there is no funding.
So, Mr. Cruz, so you're telling me that if the law department wanted to issue a contract under 17.5, that there would be no monies in the law department whatsoever to do that?
We would have to do what we just did now, Madam President. We would just have to do a special allocation and do an emergency resolution to address that shortage.
All righty. We'll finish this conversation. We could go ahead to the vote.
Yes, ma'am. I'll now call the roll. Mr. Blakely. Mr. Blakely, have you joined us, sir? Mr. Blakely is absent. Council Vice President Cole.
Council President, I was on mute. I was trying to talk, but I was on mute. I just wanted to chime in and follow up with your inquiry regarding the line item in the clerk's budget here that we were speaking on. I just want to quickly just say, I'm familiar with the process that Mr. Cruz just described. However, prior practice or historical practice or that's not the way it was done when I was, when we retained attorneys in the past. So I don't understand why we all of a sudden have to follow this new process.
Councilwoman, if the funding was available, there would not be a need for a process. The council has chosen to select an attorney that was not previously awarded a contract. So it's not a new process. It's just a process that needs to be followed because the council does not want to use an attorney that is currently under contract with the city.
Well, I got to say, Mr. Cruz, that in all three of my cases, when I had to go out, I've never never taken the option of one of the attorneys on the retained list because there's a conflict considering the lawsuit has always been raised against them from the mayor. So again, I don't understand the process, again, this new process, because each attorney that the city has retained on my behalf did not come from the retained list. And initially, we retained an attorney on an emergent basis because it didn't, for the first couple of, the first few hearings that they were asked to cover, the bill rate did not have exceeded the 17,005 threshold. So we were able to get a waiver very quickly for that piece of work. And then during the interim, that attorney who was not initially on the retained list was asked to go through the RFP process, right? So I don't understand why. I don't understand the reasoning. We're not following that process now.
Yeah, but you may have missed my part where I mentioned that the city right now does not have an adopted budget, and we are operating under an emergency budget where in the beginning of the fiscal year, we are permitted by law to only put forward 26.5% of the previous year's budget. So that's the reason why the council was allocated $8,000 from the beginning of the year. And the next quarter, you get another 8,000 and so on until you have an adopted budget where now you can count with the entire amount. In your case, I don't know what were the timelines of your need for legal counsel, but that's what I can tell you, that currently the funding isn't there because we are operating under an emergency appropriation.
Council President, would you like me to proceed with the vote?
Yes, please.
Council Vice President Caldwell-Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
No.
Mr. Michel.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn.
Yes.
Council President McBride.
Yes.
Passes by more than a three-quarter majority of the full council. The resolution is adopted this 13th day of September, or 13th day of October 2020. Thank you very much. We will now proceed to docket review if you'd like to, Council President.
Go right ahead.
Okay, first on for docket review. We have Resolution 20-647. This is a corrective resolution from the clerk's office. Resolution rescinding Resolution 20-607, which renewed alcohol beverage plenary retail consumption license number 111136299-001 Welcome Hotel Group LLC. They need a special ruling before we can renew them. So this will rescind the resolution of doing renewal. I need debate. Any questions on the matter?
No.
Council President, would you like this on the consent agenda?
Yes, it can be.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have Resolution 20-648, a resolution granting renewal of alcohol beverage plenary consumption license 111133-151010 Buzz Bar Inc. for the 2021 licensing period at 702 Pine Street. They were a late payer. They paid after the date they're operating under an interim permit. Would you like is there any discussion, or would you like to schedule this for the consent agenda or roll call?
Consent agenda.
Yes, ma'am. And Mr. Michel, I'm going to mute you temporarily because we're getting a lot of feedback on your line. I will let you know when you need to vote. Next, we have Resolution 20-649, resolution granting a renewal of alcohol beverage plenary consumption license 1111-33-047-007 WIMSA LLC for the 2021 licensing period. This is a pocket license. Once again, under an ad interim permit, they're actually not opening. It's just a pocket license without a premises right now. Consent or roll call, or are there any questions?
Yes, I want to go back to your petitions and I want to do a roll call on 2R, civil actions denying plaintiff's application.
My apology. I did skip the petitions. Let me go. If you can give me the answer on 20-649, then I will go back to the communications and petitions. My apology.
Okay.
Did you want a consent agenda 20-649?
Yes.
Okay. There are, as Council President noted, the 1, 2, 3. There are 19 communications and petitions. Council President indicated she would like the approval for 2R, which is a civil action ordering denial of plaintiff's application for temporary restraint and scheduling case management conference filed by Edward J. Florio at Florio Kennedy Raval, 125 Chubb Avenue, Suite 310, Lindenhurst, New Jersey, representing Mayor Reed Gascoigne, Mayor of the City of Trenton versus Municipal Council of the City of Trenton, Kathy McBride, Robin Vaughn, John Doe defendants number 1 through 10. Council President would like that pulled out and roll called separately.
I would just like for the clerk to give us some to explain what this 2R is asking for.
Okay, so briefly, the mayor has the mayor has filed a lawsuit against the Trenton City Council, indicating in their view that the Trenton City Council has exceeded its authority with regard to the termination of John Morelli Esquire. They have retained the law firm of Florio Kennedy Raval, and they had filed an action on October 1st prior to the executive session at or about 3 p.m. for a conference hearing at 4 p.m. To attempt to prevent the city council from holding the executive session on that October 1st, 2020 date. That matter was decided by Judge Mary Jacobson. Judge Mary Jacobson declined to entertain the order to show cause and declined to restrain the city council from holding its executive session on that October 1st, 2020 date. And that was the application by Mr. Florio to prevent you from having that meeting, which, as indicated, Judge Jacobson decided against Mr. Florio's motion, and that is what the matter was about, ma'am.
Okay, so because this has already occurred, it's still on the civil action.
Well, it's on the communications and petitions, as noted as the communications and petitions we have received as a whole by the city clerk's office in the intervening period since the last meeting. So that is why it's on the communications and petitions.
All righty.
Just to note for the record, because I also skipped that, there will be 2 sets of minutes for approval, June 2nd, 2020 and September 3rd, 2020. I will have those out to council tonight in their form. And would you like me to proceed back to the resolutions, Council President?
Yes. I just needed that to be explained to us as a whole. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have Resolution 20-620, a resolution exercising the option to extend the contract extension to J111 Electronics Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $50,000. Let me just go to that resolution to make sure that actually is correct as to the title.
Council President?
Yeah, that is JIII Electronics. That was correct. So, Council President, Member Vaughn is seeking recognition.
Yes, go right ahead.
Yes. So are we complete the city clerk's office business? Are we on to the administrative department?
Yes, I just noted for the record what was up for the city clerk's, what was being presented by the city clerk at the meeting that you will vote on at the meeting on Thursday.
Okay. So I've gotten so much activity from the administration. I mean, it seems like every hour on the hour preceding to this 5:30 meeting, there are new resolutions that are being introduced that I've never seen, that I never had a chance to thoroughly review. And this has been a consistent pattern with the administration. So I'm very concerned. So as I go through this, and this would be my first time doing this in the 2 years that I've been on the council, that, you know, Council President and to my colleagues, I have not had the opportunity to see a lot of these resolutions. So I will seek the clerk's advice as to whether or not I could table some of them, if not all of them, until I get the proper information, because I don't feel comfortable, Council President and Council Vice President, you know, applying my vote with confidence without thoroughly reading and reviewing what's being introduced here by the administration. So I just wanted to give my colleagues the heads up that that's my position on tonight's docket, because a lot of these resolutions we've gotten in the 11th hour, and I myself didn't get an opportunity. I can't speak for the rest of my council members, but I didn't get an opportunity to read them at all and organize them in the fashion that I would have liked to have been prepared and give a vote of confidence to them. So, Mr. Collins, what is the process, if you could help me out, for tabling resolutions during a conference session?
I think we're just reviewing the docket at this point in time. A formal motion to table that item should most properly be presented at Thursday's meeting, but this is the meeting by which you can request more information and review those items. If on Thursday you still feel that you have not had adequate time to review those items, and I'll explain what the delay was here in a second, then by all means you can enter a motion to table on Thursday to either table the items, and I believe there were either 8 or 9 of them collectively. The issue was the items were signed by Mr. Morelli, and there is a question now in the courts as to the actions taken by this body, with regard to Mr. Morelli. There is also a question that also puts into question whether anything signed by Mr. Morelli, is under the proper legal authority in strict prudence to not interrupt the business of the city while those other matters are being decided. We had requested that the legal department have someone else sign those documents as to form and legality, so that there were no issues should it be found that Mr. Morelli's acts are ultra vires, or as they say, without authority. That being said, to be prudent, we'd asked the city attorney's office to have another attorney sign them to avoid any issues in that capacity. That unfortunately did not occur until today, sometime around 2:15 to 3 o'clock. Once that was accomplished, those items were re-presented and added back into the docket for review on this meeting, per a conversation that Council President had with the mayor late today, indicating that, they would be added back to the docket if another attorney had signed them. That being said, if you are uncomfortable with the time frame in which you have to review them, you have several actions at your disposal. You can either abstain, you can not vote, or if you feel collectively that the council did not have enough time, you may certainly raise a motion to table each motion as it comes up, and then seek a second for that by the rest of the council. Does that answer your question, council member?
Yes, it does. Thank you, Clerk Collins.
You are very welcome, ma'am. It's my pleasure.
Council President?
Yes, Councilwoman Caldwell-Wilson.
Yes, I have a question on 620 for Mr. Cruz. Mr. Cruz?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, okay. On 620, what we're doing is we're extending a contract. They had the option to extend for 2 years, a 1-year option. Can you tell me why you're extending it for 2 years?
Because the way it was awarded, Council Vice President, is actually that language. Just give me some time to find 620. I'm looking for for the old resolution.
That's the JII Electronics.
Yeah. So resolution 20-108, and it should be in your packets. This one was passed back in March 2020. What happened here is that because we didn't have enough funding for this contract for the entire for the entire year of the contract, we awarded the partial contract from May until hold on, let me be more exact. The vendor, give me 1 second, Madam President.
No, I think we're talking about two different resolutions here. This one is 620, and their contract period was September 21st, 2017 to September 2019, with an option to extend 2 one-year options. So they're supposed to get extended for 1 year, not 2 years.
2 1-year options.
This is Colin Cherry. If I may, I might be able to answer that question, Council President.
Go right ahead, Mr. Cherry.
Madam Vice President, the original contract expired at the end, as you saw, of 2019. We exercised our first 1 year option to extend, which brought us into 2020. So now we are seeking to exercise the second 1 year extension option.
Okay, but Mr. Cherry, this is confusing because the actual resolution says that the contract from September 21st, 2017 to September 20th, 2019. There's nothing in here saying no, on the second page, it's saying that the term of contract now is going to be September 1st, 2020 to 2022. Now, there was an option to extend 2 1-year options. They've already had a 1-year option. And now you're giving them 2-year option? Because their first contract went for 2 years, not 1 year.
Yes, the first one went for 2 years and then had a 1 year. I don't have it in front of me, but what I will do before Thursday is I'll pull the resolution, the intervening resolution that extended the contract the first time from 19 through 20. So I'll get all that information for you and make sure we can provide it for you before
Thursday.
Thursday.
Did we already approve their contract be extended from September 2019 to September 2020?
Yeah, what we did was, this is Council President, the 20-108 that Mr. Cruz was talking about was adopted on March the 5th of 2020, and what we did was they had already had the 2 years, 2017 to 2019, and now this particular, that was 2 years, and we should only be giving them a 1 year contract.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
So
I don't know that's what I'm saying.
2 more years got in here because from 2017 to 2019 was the 2 years, and then this should be the 2019. And even if we only gave them a partial contract, then we should still be giving them the other part of the contract, which would be 6 more months. Not
Council President, if I may, this is what I was trying to explain. This is what I was trying to explain, that this resolution is incorrect, and we cannot give them a 2-year extension. They're only entitled to 1 more.
And that is correct.
Would you like this roll call, Ben?
No, I think it needs to be corrected. I don't want to, stop the business of the city, but they need to look at this and correct it.
Well, if I'm Council President, may I have a moment to leave to interject?
Yes,
sure.
Okay, it actually is only authorizing for the period from September 21st, 2020 to September 21st, 2021, and it's saying that it will exercise the contract that the mayor is hereby authorized, the final option to extend the contract. And Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Clerk, excuse me, on the second page, it says term of contract, September 21st, 2020 to September 2nd,
You are
2022.
correct, and I apologize. I
Yes.
did not look at the second page. You are absolutely correct.
So, Mr. Cruz, can we get this resolved?
Yes, Madam President and Vice President, we are going to figure out where the language went wrong here and resubmit it, but the intent is to award for 1 year.
Okay, well, then that certainly needs to be corrected.
Yes, we will correct it and send a new resolution to the clerk tomorrow morning.
Should
Thank
we
you very
roll call
much.
this?
No, I want to see the correction first.
Okay.
I don't need to roll call something if it's correct.
Council President, how would you like to proceed? Consent based upon the correction?
Yes, it could be consent based on the correction with the language.
I will have that
And-
correction to you in the morning.
Yes, well, you can only give it to us as soon as they give it to you.
Yes, ma'am. As soon as, I'll have the correction as soon as they provide it to me. Shall we proceed to 621?
Yes,
20-6, next we have resolution 20-621, a resolution awarding a contract through a competitive contracting process to Fairview Insurance Agency to provide health benefit insurance, broker consulting services related to the health benefits for the city of Trenton, active and retiree population at a flat fee of $72,000 per year through competitive contract 2020-09. Floor is, any questions with regard to 20-621?
No.
that could be
Consent? Yes, ma'am. Next, we have Resolution 20-622, a resolution authorizing the City of Trenton to raise the bid threshold to match the State of New Jersey approved bid threshold for local units, which has a qualified purchasing agent. And this would raise the bid threshold to $44,000.
Council President?
Yes, go right ahead.
Yeah, the only thing I will say is I had asked for this prior, that it was a housekeeping item, that any time that we have a resolution that on the docket and in the summary paragraphs that they are detailed. And it seems like we're falling back into old habits, and that should be stated right there in that paragraph, that, or one sentence, it should state clearly that you want to increase the threshold from current 40,000 to 44,000. Why isn't that not transparently written there?
Council President, if I may, I believe Mr. Cruz's office sent through resolutions and ordinances summary sheet today.
They did.
Yeah, but yeah,
And
And
today,
that has all the information on it.
yeah, I understood it and I saw that, but it still should be on the docket because that summary sheet does not go out to the public, correct? Isn't it the sheet that goes out to, isn't it the document that goes out to the public?
Correct.
So that's all I'm saying, that the summary paragraph, and you know, I'm not going to, you know, beat a dead horse here, but again, it's just please note this, Mr. Collin, that we need to have transparency. Folks should know these type of numbers.
I will note it, and I will also speak with Mr. Cruz about it tomorrow, ma'am.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Council President, how did you want to proceed with Resolution 20-622?
If no one had any problems with this resolution, then it could be consent.
Yes,
Does
ma'am.
anyone have any problems?
Any other council members?
Council President?
Yes,
Council President? Yeah,
Yes.
622, I would like to have that roll call.
Yes, ma'am.
okay.
Next, we have Resolution 20-646, a resolution authorizing the execution of the collective bargaining agreement between the City of Trenton and the Trenton Superior Officers Association.
Council President?
Which one are we on?
This is
20-646.
20-646, ma'am.
646.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, this, I would definitely want this roll called Mr. Collins, can
Yes,
you
ma'am.
note this to be roll call?
Yes, ma'am.
Is the business administrator, Adam Cruz, available to speak to this? And is anybody from the union here represented? Or the law department that can speak to this? Because my question is, primarily, I did review the docket. Like I said, I perused it, and I noticed this, and I noticed that we don't have the non-professional agreement. And I don't understand how we get to the supervisor's agreement and not have the non-professional agreement. So, Mr. Cruz, can we start there?
Yes, Councilwoman. Madam Vice President, Madam President, I'm sorry. This contract is actually for the for police officers, the supervisors union. It is not for blue collar. If that answers your question.
Okay. Well, then I got multiple questions here. And Mr. Collins, again, you see how vague this paragraph is? Now, when he says this is for police officers, shouldn't it actually state the PBA, local blah, 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 blah?
I think actually the Trenton Superior Officers Association is the name of the association, ma'am.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that's police. Everybody in the city doesn't know that.
It's everything else.
No, and I want, wait a minute. Who's interrupting me?
I'm not sure, ma'am.
So, the Trenton Superior, again, so this is not the Ask Me union contract at all.
No, ma'am, it is not.
This is law enforcement.
That is correct, yes.
And it's just for executive level law enforcement. That means captain, lieutenant, captain, and above.
Sergeants, lieutenants, captains, yes.
Yeah, and this is not PBA.
Councilwoman, as you know, we have different unions in the city, and that the superior officers is one union, and the PBA is another union.
Okay, well that's an education.
Two different unions.
I didn't know that they were two separate unions.
Yeah,
and,
two separate unions.
Okay, and the detail of the contract is attached to this.
Yes, I would say it is, and then we also submitted a small description of what this was about. The TSOA agreement expired on December 31st, 2018. Department of Administration and the city labor attorney had successfully negotiated the contract with the union for a term beginning on January 1st, 2019, and it ends on December 31st, 2023. The Trenton Superior Officers Association has ratified the parties upon renewal of their collective negotiation agreement. The waiver was submitted and approved by DCA.
So can you tell us what the value is, the change?
It's a 2% across the board.
Okay.
Which is the maximum.
What is the actual dollar amount of the contract?
I'm sorry, which is the maximum allowed by the negotiating cap.
I agree. So 2%. So wasn't that increase or that
No.
No, okay. So
Yeah.
So what does that in real dollars? What is that valued?
I don't have those numbers in front of me, Councilwoman, but I can get the council those numbers in the coming days.
Yeah, if you can get me the actual dollar amount from, the change from last year to this year, or from the last year's, since the, post the, the agreement, what it was and what it will be, the actual dollar amount.
No problem.
I appreciate that.
Council President?
Yes, go right ahead, Councilwoman Caldwell.
Yeah, I just want to explain, when you have a contract for multiple years, there's going to be negotiated costs for each year, depending on longevity, depending on the actual salary range. So the total amount of the contract is going to be different for each year. Just for clarification.
And 20-646 is going to be roll call, ma'am.
Yes.
Madam President, did you want me to proceed? Or
Yes.
are there any other questions?
No.
So it's going to be roll call, and Mr. Cruz, you're going to get that information to us by Thursday, correct?
Correct.
I have noted my records as well. Next, we have Resolution 20-623. These are from the Department of Fire, Krista Mazer, Acting Director. First, we have Resolution 20-623, a resolution authorizing a contract to Kronos Incorporated for the purchase of proprietary purchase of annual software through New Jersey State Contract Number T-03065-16 DPP 00021 in an amount not to exceed $50,000.
So, Mr. Cruz, this is Council President McBride. Mr.
Yes,
Cruz,
Madam President. Yes.
I just would like to expound a little bit on Maziar. Will you guys introduce him to the council? We never even knew who was serving in that acting role, and until I recognized the name tonight, I did not know, and I don't know if any of the other council knew. But wouldn't it be respectful if you guys introduced him to the body, so we would at least know who he is? Because right now we just don't. We're just seeing the name and hearing the name tonight.
Yeah, Madam President, I normally the letters are sent by the mayor's office to the clerk for distribution. I will check to see, where that communication is, or when, if it was sent. I unfortunately don't have that information with me, nor do I have a resume in front of me tonight. Since he has been acting since, I believe, since the last meeting, I don't have that information in front of me right now. But I apologize. I apologize to the acting director. But if the acting director can introduce himself, I would appreciate it, and perhaps give him a description of the years that you've been with the department, etc.
So, Mr. Cruz, before we allow the acting director to speak, one of the reasons that council should know when a person is installed in an acting position is because there is a timeline attached to an acting position. And if the council does not know when a person is installed, then they don't know when that clock began. And I'm quite sure you're familiar with that. And so if we can please get that information over to the clerk. You stated that it was since the last meeting. I don't know exactly when it was, but if you could forward something over to the clerk's office as far as the actual date that he was installed, I'd appreciate it, okay?
Yes, Madam President, and I know I'm saying you'll have it in the morning. Madam President, you'll have this one in the morning as well.
Okay, thank you. And if you would allow him to introduce himself, I'd appreciate that too, not just for the council, but also for the public, because the public doesn't know who's in Mr. Derek Sawyer's position, or the position that Derek Sawyer held. So it would be good for him to introduce himself.
Good evening, Council President, members of council. My name is Chris Maziars. I am 29 years on the job. I've been a captain for 20 years and a battalion chief in logistics for the past year working with Fire Director Sawyer. I have been married to my wife, Norma, for 28 years. I have 2 children, Allison, who's 26, and Ashley, who's 22. I graduated from Notre Dame High School back in 1986. I attended Lebanon Valley College for physics and engineering back in 1987 and joined the department in 1991. If there's anything else you would need, just please let me know.
No, I appreciate you coming on, introducing yourself to us. Thank you. Thank you for
You're
that.
welcome.
And Mr. Conlon, we may move on with the resolution 20-623.
So this is the resolution 20-623. I'll reread it. Resolution authorizing a contract to Kronos Incorporated for the purchase of proprietary purchase of annual software through New Jersey State Contract Number T-030651 DPP 00021 in an amount not to exceed $50,000. This is for scheduling and timekeeping system for multi-shift operations for DHS meeting DHS requirements.
Roll, that could be consent agenda if no
Yes,
one
ma'am.
else have any questions.
Or higher, over 15,000 gross vehicle weight.
If no
Any
one else
questions
have,
from the council?
then that can also be on the consent agenda.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have Resolution 20-625, a resolution authorizing a proprietary purchase of uniforms for promotional and new firefighter Class A uniforms from McDonald's Uniforms in an amount not to exceed $65,000.
If there's no questions, it could be added to consent agenda.
Yes, ma'am. I'll move forward. Next, we have resolutions out of the Department of Finance. Resolution 20-626, a resolution authorizing a contract to She International for the purchase of cloud-based Mod 4 and CAMA system for the City of Trenton Department of Tax Assessors through New Jersey State Contract Number M-0003-89851 in an amount not to exceed $32,445. Any questions? Appear to be no questions, ma'am. How would you like to proceed?
To the consent agenda.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have Resolution 20-627, a resolution awarding a contract through a fair and open process in accordance with NJSA 1944A20.4 et sec to realauction.com LLC to host online tax sale for the City of Trenton Department of Finance Division of Tax in an amount not to exceed $140,000 through RFP 2020-25. And that is, it's actually realauction.com. Sorry, my reading skill was a little funky there. Any questions?
So they're selling tax liens or tax. What are they doing here?
Well, this is a contract with realauction.com to actually host the online tax sales. They're a platform, and if Mr. Cruz has any corrections, he can correct me in that.
Okay. We can roll call that.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Roll call that.
Yes, ma'am. 627 will be roll called. Any other questions? Next, we have resolutions.
Yes, I have a question on this one.
Yes, sir.
$15 per advertised certificate. That's what that means. It's $140,000 at an hourly rate of $15 per advertised certificate.
Mr. Cruz, somebody from the tax department?
That would be Ms. Schoenhart.
Ms. Hart?
Hello, this is Janet Schoenhart. Constance Luden is, I believe, on the line. She would be able to answer that.
Ms. Ludden?
Okay. Can I hear the question again so I can answer it?
He's asking
Yes.
about the $15 per certificate fee per advertised certificate in an amount not to exceed $140,000.
It's on the fourth whereas, the fourth paragraph.
So
I'm
they're
here
going to
now. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry. They charge us $15 per item that we put into the sale. This is also for Trenton Waterworks sale.
Waterworks sale, what's that?
For the
sale
tax.
of delinquent water charges.
So the question is, are you actually, when this company is doing the actual sale of the property?
No, they actually just host the website that does the whole process.
$140,000.
Well, that's the maximum because we don't know how many items there will be between the two sales.
So it will be
We
based
will
on
be paying them.
$15 per advertised certificate, right?
Correct.
Okay, I got it now. To a maximum of $140,000.
Correct.
So it could be less if they do less work.
I'm sure it will be less. That's just the maximum that it could be.
Okay, I got it now.
Question, Council President.
Go right ahead.
So regarding this technology solution, so they're going to be hosting, tax sale certificates and tax liens we have on property, related to our waterworks and who knows what else, but property taxes. So how are you going to roll this out, and who will have access to it? Is it going to be a link?
The same company that we use every year. It's actually, they host the website, but all of the work is actually done in my office.
Yeah, so they're hosting the website. So the website, the interface, is it going to be embedded and accessible on the Trenton website, or is it going to go to a separate, to their hosting site?
No, it's
Where is
separate.
it going to be hosted? How can Trentonians access it?
We have a link that we put on our City of Trenton website. We also post it. It's also advertised in the paper.
Okay.
It's Trenton, New Jersey tax sale. So it's out there on the website. Anybody can log on and look at the properties. But we also put a link to it on our website when we get ready to have the sale.
Okay. All right. Understood. Okay.
Okay, so this is Councilwoman McBride, and this is my question. So we hire a company to actually do the sale, and so we pay them a certain amount of money. Can you tell me the amount of how much the contract was for the company that we actually contracted with for the delinquent payments and tax sales? What was the contract value?
I'm not certain that I understand your question.
Okay, let me.
We used the exact same company last fiscal year to do the.
Let me clarify my question. We have a company that we contracted with to sell the properties, for the delinquent taxes, delinquent water liens, and things of that nature. So I just want to know, when we gave that contract to them, what was the dollar value of the contract that we gave to that company to go after the delinquent payments for tax sales and delinquent sales?
Right, that was a company that was strictly to try to enforce to get payment for ones that we had already sold at tax sale. And though that was a $250,000 contract, which I canceled.
Excuse me?
We had a contract with a company that would enforce the delinquent collection on liens that we had already sold, and their contract was $250,000, but it was not renewed. It was canceled.
Okay, so now I'm really not understanding you. First, you said that the company that we hired, they actually do the sale. And then these people here, they are going to do the online part of it. So I'm just not clear on what's going on now at all.
Okay, there were two different companies. This company hosts the online section of the selling of the delinquents to turn them into liens, either sell them to outside parties or be stricken off to the city if no one buys them. We also had an additional contract with a company that was trying to enforce the collection of the city lien money. Two totally separate things.
So the original question was?
I think one was for debt collection.
I asked how much was the contract worth that we contracted with to get the actual sale of the properties.
The same contract that we're using this year, this one that's up right now, I would have to look it up.
And you know what I'm getting at, right? Because I
not sure. Right.
Okay, let me tell you. I needed to know exactly how much that contract was and why would we be paying a separate entity to post up sales certificates online? Because if we contracted with the company less than a year ago, and that company wants to subcontract the online certificate part of it, I just want to know what was included in that contract and how much they were charging us, how much that contract was worth, so I can actually understand what is going on as far as the actual contract that they got, what they were doing for the money in that contract, and why did they feel the need to subcontract this portion of it out.
There's no subcontracting. Those are two different contracts.
Ron, if you want to...
Yeah. Please mute your phones if you're not actually being questioned by council or a council member. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Council President, would you like me to proceed?
Yes, I need for 20-627. I would like to roll call that.
Yes, ma'am. It has already been marked as such. Next, we have Resolution 20-628, a resolution authorizing sub-grant agreements with various community-based organizations to provide housing and supportive services to the homeless, disabled individuals, and families in the city of Trenton and surrounding areas in an amount not to exceed $1,239,537. Once again, this is Resolution 20-628, and this is the Department of Health and Human Services. We do not have an acting director, but is there anybody else from the Department of Health and Human Services here?
Mr. Conlon, yes, we have Ms. Sherelle on the line. She was having difficulties before getting through. She could hear you asking for someone, and she kept trying to be heard, but apparently there was issues.
Okay. Does any member of council have a question for Ms. Sherelle with regard to 20-628?
Yes. Council President?
Yes, go right ahead.
Firstly, I saw the allocation breakdown. I perused it very quickly. But I'm just concerned because, again, I see some of the same organizations. And where did this appropriation come from? Which grant, Mr. Cruz? Which grant? Is it which program, which HUD program is this particular monies coming from? Is it CDBG? Is it home? Is it ESG? Where is it coming from?
Let me get the resolution and get you the actual numbers.
And second to that, while you're searching, is this money from our COVID allocation from the CARES Act, or and in what fiscal year?
No, this is actually, so this, according to the resolution, it says that it was done, the city wishes to subcontract with various community-based organizations identified in the fiscal year 2019 Continuum of Care application. So that is where it's coming from Continuum of Care, to provide rental assistance, leasing, supportive services, operating homeless management information system, and administration to the homeless individuals, families, youth, and disabled in the city of Trenton and surrounding areas.
Okay, wonderful. I'm familiar with that program. I remember when the former director described it to us. Last time, we got the allocation last year, I think, or several months back. But I will ask you, does this call for RFP? Do we need to get this out to folks and advertise it in some way? Did we need to do community outreach before we actually allocated the funds?
Let's see if Ms. Sherrill is on the line, because she is the person who is driving this contract or this resolution.
Mm-hmm. Because, yeah, go ahead.
Ms. Sherrill?
Because my question is she able to get in?
She's in.
Again, we have the same organizations that are getting the appropriation, and I'm just, again, concerned or fearful that that there are other organizations out there that are being locked out and not getting the money because they're not getting the communication. They're not aware that the money has arrived in the city and is available. So I just want to know how the acting director, has reached out to the community when he got this 1.2 million, and ensure that everybody and their mother knew about it, except for the few organizations who got, again, an appropriation, which I have no problem with that. But I just want some fairness and competition here. And we can't just keep giving the money to the same organization. So definitely roll call it. And Ms. Cruz, I'm not going to hold you up here, but, you're the business administrator and you govern all the departments in the city. So I hope that you go out between now and Thursday and ask the director of the Health and Human Service Department to come back to council with that answer, because I want to see the plan that she had in place, or he, to do community outreach, do advertisement, and, get a broad, proposals from different nonprofits or service organizations. I'm sure a lot of folks out there who provide good services, and I'm just thinking that they're being locked out because the same organizations are getting the funds, and that is not a good look. It's just not a good look for the city.
Ms. Sherrill is on the line. If you can allow her to speak, perhaps her voice can come through.
Go right ahead, Ms. Sherrill.
Okay. I'm checking. Give me a second.
The money is from HUD.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on, but she was on a few seconds ago, and she was waiting to speak. And apparently when Councilwoman Vaughn was speaking, she was trying to come through, and she was not successful. So I'm having somebody reach out to her and see if maybe she signed off to sign back on.
No, she is present. IT is informing me she's on mute, so she's going to have to unmute herself, or she's going to have to log back out and log back in. Council President, how would you like to proceed? She's there. She's here. Hello?
Hello. Are you able to hear me?
Ms. Sherrill, is that you?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So sorry about that. So this is the Continuum of Care program, the HUD Continuum of Care program that our department applies for annually. It's an annual competition. And then this particular resolution is for renewal projects. They are for 1 year renewal. They were applied for last year and approved. And now in the fiscal year 19 COC application, these are renewals. And so at this juncture, we don't have any new projects, which we do use an RFP process, but that is not the case with this particular resolution.
We're going to roll call this. I don't understand the renewal process, but I do believe, just from my little education here on this subject, anytime federal funds come into the city or any municipality, you got to tell the public. I don't think that was done here. Is that not right? Could somebody educate me on that?
Okay, so for the process for the COC program, what we do when we apply for the fund, the information is publicly posted. It's posted on the city's website. It's also posted on the Mercer County website to let the public know that we are applying to renew these particular projects. And so we don't, for renewal, we have to renew the projects because the funding that's provided here is to make sure that those that were homeless, that their rents are continually paid on a month-to-month basis through these organizations.
And on that note, the reason why I'm asking about this one, and we can move on after this, I appreciate, you're answering my question, but actually just over the weekend, a couple of my constituents have come to me. It's a couple of the apartments here in the West Ward, and they're getting harassed by their landlord, and they want to evict these folks, and they have gone out to certain organizations on that list who have received this funding, and they were turned away. So
if I may answer your question in reference to that,
yes.
We would certainly be happy to work with those constituents, but we are under an eviction moratorium. So if they are being harassed by their landlords, that is illegal. Under the federal as well as the state eviction moratorium, it is illegal to evict anyone at this time during this COVID pandemic. And we would be happy to work with them, with the legal services, to make sure that they are not evicted during this time.
Yes, that's excellent. And I did tell them that. I did direct them to your department, and also I asked them to kindly work with some of the service providers that I was aware of who received some of the funding, and that's helping the city with homeless services. So yes, but again, I just want to roll call, and we'll just have to, I just want to understand. So did you go to the newspapers on this? But you said you advertised at the county website, you did it on the city website, but did you, put it in the newspapers?
No, we didn't. That we did not do for the newspapers.
Okay,
and
thanks.
we would be happy to share with you the process, Councilwoman.
Well, I mean, I'm on a HUD site all the time, and the process is what it is. They say you got to advertise. You got to advertise. So I can send you maybe I should send you the process. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Council President, would you like me to proceed?
Yes.
Okay, so 20-628 is going to be roll call per Councilmember Vaughn's request. Next, we have from the Department of Housing and Economic Development, Ben Delisle, Director. We have Resolution 20-629, a resolution rejecting bids received for live and online auction services of city-owned real estate for the City of Trenton Department of Housing and Economic Development through bid 2019-56. Any questions from Council? Council President, how would you like me to proceed?
Okay, I have some questions. Why are these bids being rejected?
Council President, this is Ben Delisle. This was something that we had solicited proposals for some time ago, and we just didn't act on it. We didn't proceed with the project at the time. We just didn't find any of the bids to be to our satisfaction at the time. And then we certainly got distracted with COVID and everything else. So we're looking to reissue this in the future. And our purchasing department has advised us that we need to reject these before we proceed with soliciting proposals for similar services.
So where are the bids that you're rejecting that you want us to vote on tonight? They're attached here.
This was bids for consulting services, more or less. It was to hire like an auction company to assist with the auctions.
Okay. What is it?
And they are over 60 days old, Council President.
Yes, yeah, that was another reason. Yes.
Council President.
The first whereas says it's for live and online auction services of city-owned real estate. And now you're saying it was for a consultant, but the resolution says
the services were to have an auction company conduct the auction for us rather than with city staff. So it was not for particular real estate. It's that we would hire an auction company to perform the auction for us, whether in person at council chambers or through an online platform.
Council President.
Yes, because I'm really lost here because this is saying one thing and Mr. Delisle is saying another thing. Go right ahead, Council Woman Vaughn.
Okay, so again, leveraging all our assets and resources. This sounds like the same service that the tax collector was speaking of.
No, this is to sell property, not the tax certificates or the liens. So this is for the actual real estate. Okay,
but again, right? So this link is available on the city website. Is it a different link? A different system, a different network, a different platform? How do I access this?
This doesn't exist currently.
Okay. Oh, so you're trying to get this type of technology up and running or service available?
Correct. That was the intent of this, but as the clerk has pointed out, it's past 60 days. We didn't act upon it, and so we need to reject all the bids. And if we decide to move forward, we would adjust the bidding specifications and solicit these services again in the future.
So this begs the question. I don't know. Is Mr. Was it Joe Rivera on the line, the Chief Technology Officer? Is Joe Rivera on the line, the Chief Technology Officer?
I'm not sure, Councilwoman, but this is not related to him.
No. All right, so I'm going to ask you my question then. Well, it is related because we have a director who runs a very important department in the city, was out in the marketplace looking for technology capabilities, technical capabilities. And although this set of bids didn't work out, but I'm sure Mr. Delisle was still looking for, technical capabilities. And this is the thing that I was speaking about or was trying to articulate when we switched from FCC technology company to the new technology company that's in-house, is that someone should be looking across the city's platform, technical platform, and understanding all the requirements for city businesses and come up with a strategic approach to integrate and consolidate everything. And I don't understand why the tax collector office is sourcing some technology service to facilitate her efforts, and now we see Director Delisle is doing the same thing. And I would think that they should be consulting with the Chief Technology Officer of the City of Trenton so that they can come up with a common technology strategy for the city. And I'm just concerned about that. And Mr. Cruz, I was same thing over at the library, and I'm going to bring that up in my civic comments. I discovered that they're over there in the library. The city public library is over there contracting technology capabilities.
Councilwoman Vaughn.
Yes, you're going to interrupt me again, but it's okay, Council President. I yield my time. Okay.
No, not because of your time, but because we're talking about this particular resolution, and you're going into something that's going on at the
again. But it's still related, Council President, right? So, bottom line is, when it comes to these type of resolutions, and the administration, and I'm going to hold this to business administrator because he governs across all departments, and the technology group reports to administration, I believe.
Will out of it.
I'm sorry? Mr. Cruz, the technology group is not in administration?
I didn't say anything, Councilwoman.
Oh, okay. So I think that it's about time that I'm just looking for, I don't want to, me personally, representing the West Ward, I don't want to see a separate technology contract supporting each individual department in the city. I want to see I hope that you talk to the new technology group that's in-house. I hope this is being looked at, that we should be looking at our platform and strategically aligning it and developing it. That's all I'm saying. Thank you.
Yes. So, Councilwoman, Mr. Rivera, Madam President, if Mr. Rivera is available, if you would like to hear him speak about this.
Yes, please. Go ahead, Mr. Rivera.
Hello, Councilwoman Vaughn, Council President McBride, and all the rest of the council. Just to let you know, we are meeting with each department to discuss strategies and implementations that can actually benefit the things that they need. We have met with Ben Delisle today. We actually have met with Water. We already today as well. We're looking at different and consolidating a lot of different platforms that they have. We talked about GovPilot and different things that can be used for that. As far as what anything that is being put forth, there is a policy that Mr. Adam Cruz did approve, and that's basically any IT purchase has to go through IT for justification before it is even requisitioned. So therefore, we are looking into different things, and we are basically approving the different things per justification. So there is no question. As far as going across of hiring different IT firms or anything like that, there's different things that can be utilized. If you would like to speak about the library, we could do that off topic, but I do have the answer for that too. The city is not being, is not being requisitioned, or any money is coming out of the city for that IT work at the library.
Or where's it coming from?
They have a trust that if they don't use, they lose. Excuse
me, we're not going to go into that because that is not a part of this resolution. We're going to stay focused on the resolution in front of us.
I'll speak to that. You're absolutely correct, Council President. I yield my time. I'll talk about it in my civic comment.
If I could add, this is Director Delisle, one last piece of information. This bid was done last year, 2019. So this was some time ago. I think it may have been before Mr. Rivera actually started with the city. So, Councilwoman, you raised a lot of wonderful points and important points about coordinating and consolidating all the different IT services in the city. And we'll certainly look to do that, going forward.
Thank you, Director DeLario.
Mr. Conlon?
Council President, how would you like to proceed? Roll call or consent agenda?
That would be roll called.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have Resolution 20-630, a resolution authorizing payment for a contract with Carroll Demolition awarded on an emergency basis for demolition services at various locations in the city of Trenton, not to exceed $86,940. This is Resolution 20-630.
Council President?
Go right ahead.
Yeah, so it's only $86,000. It's Ben Delisle. Very quickly, Ben, can we roll call this? So with only $86,000, you said various locations. Demolition costs, you said, upward of $35,000 to $40,000 a piece per property. So there's only 2 properties being demoed, right? How many are being demoed with $86,000 in this resolution?
2 properties.
Oh, so only 2. Okay.
Yep.
So
those are identified in the body of the resolution, the addresses.
Okay. Yep. Because that word various, it's a nebulous term, right? So.
Councilwoman, I think in the future we'll look to list all the addresses that's covered in the title of the resolution. I think it was
because I'm getting nervous because, I mean, the amount of money that's being spent on the demolitions, you're really drawing down on that $11 million fairly quickly, right?
It's expensive stuff. Yep.
So if it's $35,000 per home, how did we get to $86,000? If it's $35,000, it's the maximum.
So, well, these particular properties were done on an emergency basis. They were declared imminent hazards by the construction code official, and they are being paid for out of capital dollars that were set aside by the city for these purposes because they are privately owned properties. They are not city-owned properties, and we will be placing liens on the properties for the value of the work. So that should those liens get satisfied or the property sold or whatnot, then the city would get those, recoup its funds.
Council President, how would you like to proceed? This has been roll call. Shall we move forward?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have Resolution 20-631, a resolution to apply and accept professional planning services from the Department of Community Affairs, Office of Local Planning Services. This is once again Resolution 20-631.
Yes, I have a question about that one. So, Director Lyle?
Yes.
So, the Office of Local Planning Services. So what is it that the state is providing us? Do we not have a planning board in place to help us with our planning?
The planning board, yes, we do have a planning board, Councilwoman. This is for professional services. We requested the assistance of the local planning services to help us study and update the redevelopment plans in the downtown area and propose any changes that would have them align with the Trenton 250 master plan. This is being provided at no cost to the city. And of course, any proposed changes or to the redevelopment plans would come before the City Council prior to their adoption. I do have Bob Tessier from local planning services. He's available if you have any other questions from him. He might be best apt to describe them.
I do.
Yes, Councilwoman.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Council President.
No, it was Mr. Tessier. If you have questions.
This is Bob Tessier. If you remember, we were before you guys before and offered some free planning services for your planning board and your planning department, and we prepared that transit-oriented development plan, which was okayed by the governing body, and then we prepared it for the planning board, and they adopted it as part of the master plan. And in following up on that, we the city requested, Mr. Delisle requested that we come in and do a downtown redevelopment plan study. We've prepared those for various municipalities at no cost throughout the state. So we would work with your planning staff, that's what the scope of work is, and help define what areas would be good for redevelopment. Before an area is designated, the planning department would take our work, make a recommendation to the planning board, and then they would recommend to you, and the governing body would have to take action by resolution to designate a boundary area in the downtown. We don't know what that area would be, but the boundary is attached to the resolution of our study area. We'll define that down a little closer. Then once the governing body agrees that we should designate that area as an area needed redevelopment, then your power is to adopt it. Then we would prepare a plan with the planning board and for a redevelopment plan, and that again would be adopted by the governing body. So we're giving you these free planning services that we've provided for other municipalities, City of Passaic and elsewhere, just to do a project that you would otherwise have to hire a consultant to do. So we're trying to save you the consulting fee and follow the same kind of thing as a transit-oriented development. Do you have any other questions, or did I?
Oh, yeah, I do, because I'm concerned because it's coming from the Department of Community Affairs, and you just mentioned that you provide these services to other municipalities, and you mentioned Passaic. Is Passaic also under an MOU?
We don't really work. I think it might be under an MOU. We haven't done any. I don't know that. That's not really why we're doing the services, except for that. So we have other municipalities like Bayonne. You know, we've worked in about 25 towns. They don't, whether or not they're in an MOU, we're providing.
Okay, well, all right. Let me scrap that. Let me just say it to you this way. So most of your services and planning services, you're coming into inner cities. That's what it appears to me, that you're coming into inner cities and telling inner cities what to do with their redevelopment in their prime redevelopment property.
Well, we've done suburban areas. All
right, so which ones? I'm just curious.
Okay, so we've done Borough of Sussex. We've done the Franklin, Borough of Franklin.
Franklin Township?
No, Borough of Franklin up in Sussex County.
Sussex County, okay.
Okay, so we've done.
Great. That's cool. Okay, go ahead.
That's way up there.
Yes, it is.
We were doing that at the same time as we were doing one in Cumberland County. We did a report for bivalve in those areas in Cumberland County. But okay. Councilman Vaughn, our services aren't only redevelopment plans.
Okay.
We also do master plan updates. We also do economic development strategies. We also do transit-oriented development plans like the one we did for Trenton. So we do all types of planning services. Recreation plan that we did for Perth Amboy that the mayor really liked, and Perth Amboy actually used that to get a lot more money from the county. Because in our analysis, we showed that the county had all these beautiful parks, but they weren't spending any money in Perth Amboy, so that they got a big park in downtown for that. So we worked all around the state, and we're basically, you are our client. You know, we're reporting to you as you and the planning board.
Well, if you can get us more funding if you can do this study and get more and advocate for more funding for the city of Trenton to build out our parks, that'll be fabulous.
Well, this isn't a recreation study, but yes, we could.
All right, got it.
Sorry, it's a redevelopment, but we will talk about funding and talk about tools.
Recreation and parks are a big part of redevelopment, correct, sir?
That's right. No, that's right. They are. They are. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Council President?
Yes, go right ahead, Councilwoman.
Yes, I mean, Mr. Tezier, thank you for that explanation. I do appreciate it. But I do have to say one thing, and you might not like it, but you opened your conversation with you came before us guys. I do want to remind you that we're not all guys on City Council.
I meant that in the generic sense, and I apologize. It comes from my early days in North Jersey, and it was always inclusive.
Okay.
But yes, between you,
thank you,
council people. Yes, ma'am. Thanks for the correction.
Thank you.
Any other questions from council?
No.
Council President, how would you like to proceed?
This we're on six. We're on six.
We can roll call that one, please.
Which one are we on? 6:30, right?
6:31.
6:31.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
6:30 is roll call.
Council President, so why are we roll calling this? Because this is of no cost to the city.
That's right.
Now, I just want to get a better, he mentioned the borders, and I just want to review the borders that he's looking to review, Vice President.
So can you do that by Thursday? I mean, because when we have so many roll calls, this is why our meetings run so late.
Well, yeah, so that's a good question, Mr. Cruz. Can you do it by Thursday?
This is Director Delisle, if I could. What is there a particular request? And I apologize, Adam, for speaking.
I mean, that's fine. I'll pass on it. I'll just continue to follow up with you, Mr. Delisle, and/or I'm sorry, Mr. I don't get his. Well, I'll go through the administrator.
So is there anything specific council is looking for?
No. I'll move along. It can go to consent agenda if the council president decision to do so. It's fine.
If she doesn't want a roll call, then you could move to consent agenda.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you.
Next, we have Resolution 20-632, a resolution designated Nicolelli Group, LLC, as redeveloper of a property located at Block 401, lots 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 141, 143 to 145, 147, 149, 151, 153, and 155 North Broad Street. The
Council President.
Go right ahead, Councilwoman Caldwell-Wilson.
So, Mr. Delisle, I'm not sure that we haven't had a presentation from these people.
Councilwoman, I did reach out through the clerk to see if a presentation was requested, and I do have the developer here on the line. They're prepared to give a presentation. If you're
no, I don't think we should add a presentation to our agenda on the same night that we're doing it. But I really feel that we should have been reached out to, because it should be that you should have requested that we have a presentation before you bring a resolution towards us. I mean, whether the administration wants to recognize it or not, we are the economic development agent, and this is supposed to come before us before anything goes up on the docket.
Respectfully, Councilwoman, I did reach out through the clerk if a presentation was warranted or requested or desired.
No. Councilwoman, at the last council meeting, we never had an opportunity to even speak to the directors because they left the call and they left the video. So I don't know when this was proposed. And the fact that we are the redevelopment authority and no one seems to have any consideration for that, I believe it should be tabled.
So I need to ask Mr. Conlon. Mr. Conlon, did you receive a request?
I received, part of the confusion in this matter was the tabling of the docket review meeting due to the accompanying matter with regard to the courts and Mr. Morelli. In that case, I received an email from Mr. Delisle this morning. And the email says, Matt, I saw less than an hour ago that the resolutions to designate these developers are back on the agenda. Council never asked if they wanted presentations. Please advise if you want presentations. That was at 2:03 p.m. So that was the first indication that I had regarding any request for presentations with regard to this.
Okay, so I agree with Council President. We should table this until we get a presentation.
Proper
on the
procedure would be
agenda.
to designate these for roll call and then do a motion to table at the meeting, ma'am.
Okay.
And that would be applicable to 20-633 as well?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. So 20-632 and 20-633 will be roll called and prospectively tabled. And I will talk to Mr. Delisle about getting a presentation put together.
Okay, thank you.
Next, we have Resolution 20-630. Council President, I'm going to skip over 20-633 because you decided to roll call that as well. Is that all right with you?
Yes.
Okay, next we have Resolution 20-634. These are from the Department of Public Works, Wahib Onatiri, Director. 20-634, resolution authorizing a contract with Morton Salt, Inc. to purchase treated rock salt in conjunction with the County of Mercer Cooperative Contract Purchasing System Agreement, CK09 Mercer 2019-28, in an amount not to exceed $212,850.
Council President.
Go right ahead, Councilwoman.
Okay, Mr. Cruz or Mr. Onatiri, so I need to know, I know that we took monies from our snow prevention or snow removal, and I think that would include the rock salt for the COVID. So how much did we recover from that, or did we spend it all?
Council President, Vice President, those are actually two separate questions. How much did we recover? The application was already sent to FEMA to try to recover 75% of the cost. Currently, the fund that we created with the storm money trust account was actually $1.2 million. Of the $1.2 million, we probably have spent close to, and I will get more close numbers for you. It's probably in the 900,000. But we have already submitted the application for reimbursement of the 75% that municipalities can get as maximum reimbursement.
So if we get reimbursed, this money will go back into the general fund, or?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. And will you notify us when we get reimbursed and how much we are getting reimbursed? Because I would like to know.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So, Mr. Cruz, while you're still on the line, so the $500,000 that we gave the Health and Human Resource Department, where is the breakdown of that money? Because that money was not used. So where is the remainder of those dollars, and what was the breakdown of that?
Madam President, yes, Madam President, are you referring to the contract that we awarded to the Trenton Group?
No. We didn't award a contract. We gave Shakira, Abdul Ali, and Director Delisle $500,000 out of our snow money, and it was supposed to be for the Y, which the Y, the people, they end up getting their building by filing bankruptcy, as I believe that's what the director said, and the convent, we never moved forward with that. The C Center was ours. So the only money that we put out of that $500,000 that I can remember being reported to us was the money that they gave to the UPI for some renovations for the homeless shelter, or the shelter for the homeless during the COVID. So
right,
I would like
the C Center.
That 500,000, not the C Center, because the C Center was already ours, and the mayor said that he got the contribution for the TVs and the beds from a private entity. So out of the 500,000, I would like to know where is the remainder of that money, because we can't send that to FEMA for reimbursement because it was never used. So what portion of that money was returned back to the snow emergency snow snow removal?
Madam President, I will have a conversation with Mr. Delisle, and we can put the list of invoices that have been paid out of his department for that acquisition, and I can get back to you about the 500,000.
All righty, I appreciate that.
Yes, no problem.
Council President,
Yes, go right ahead,
I just want to add to that request for BA Cruz. Yep, you can get back to the council about the $500, $500,000, but what remaining of it. But also, can you get back to us regarding the approach to replenishing the storm account? The FEMA storm account?
It's simple. As soon as we get the money back from as soon as we get the money back from FEMA, I believe we can take the money and put it back in a trust account. But I will confirm with Janet to see what is the vehicle that we are going to use.
Thanks.
Okay.
Continue, Mr. And 12,000 should be coming from the money that we allocated to Delisle and to Shakira Abdul Ali back to our snow removal. That money, I believe, is coming from there. I could be wrong, but I believe it should be coming from there because that all has to do with the snow, right?
Council President, you indicated that you wanted this to be on the consent agenda?
Yes, it can be. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we will have Resolution 20-635, a resolution authorizing a contract to Let's Think Wireless LLC to replace outdated and inoperable cameras currently in place in City Hall, awarded through New Jersey State Contract Number M0483899980 in an amount not to exceed $45,911.38. Any questions from council? Consent agenda, yes, ma'am. Next, we have Resolution 20-636, a resolution authorizing payment for a contract with Ironworks and Design, 89 Broadway, Elizabeth, New Jersey, 07206, which is awarded on an emergency basis for the installation of steel grating at Trenton City Hall, 319 East State Street, Trenton, New Jersey, 08608 for the Department of Public Works, Division of Public Property, in an amount not to exceed $85,350. Any questions? Yes, ma'am. Consent. Yes, ma'am. Next, we have Resolution 20.
I just have a question, Council President. I'm sorry. I was trying to, say, I guess you didn't hear me. 20-636, the emergency basis.
Go right ahead.
So it was awarded on an emergency basis. The installation of steel grates. Is Wally Onateri on the line?
Yes, it is.
Can you explain how $85,000 contract was awarded on an emergency basis to install steel grates? Those are the things that lay on top of the hole, right?
That's correct. Yes. This is this problem we had. It was the grate there was removed a long time ago, and what happened was a gentleman fell in like a month or so ago. He fell in there. We didn't even know it was. I guess he's one of the homeless guys. He slept on the top of it, and they found him inside a hole the next day. So that's why we have to put this, because this is going to be a serious issue on the city.
But still, okay. Emergency contracts for situations like this. These type of things cost the city a lot of money. When all we need is a little proactive thinking, right? So I guess we don't have steel grates sitting around in your garages or warehouses or storage facilities. You're in a business of digging holes every day and putting those. I see those steel grates all over the city. I don't understand why.
That's a different type of grade. It's not something we keep. We're talking about the rail that prevent people from falling. That's not the same thing as the one we use at the sign shop for traffic or for handicap signs or for stop signs.
All right, no problem. All right, it's fine. Agreed. Okay, thank you.
Consent, Mr. Coleman.
Yes, ma'am. Most so noted. Next, we have Resolution 20-637, a resolution awarding a contract through a fair and open process in accordance with NJSA 1944 A20.4 at Sec to Remington and Vernick Engineers in an amount not to exceed $14,200 through RFP 2020-39.
Council President.
Go right ahead, Councilwoman Caldwell-Wilson.
Yeah, this question is for Mr. Onateri. I thought that we had already provided funding for this. Now we have to do additional engineering services for the vehicle wash. What? Could you explain that to me?
Yes, ma'am. In the process of doing this project right here, we found out that there is something else that we can use that will save city a lot of money. So we had to request from the engineering firm to add certain things to it, like security cameras, like the solar panel, so that to prevent us from using PSC&G in the long run. So we figured when this came to me, we figured out this would be very helpful to the city. That was why this was added on that.
Any further questions?
The only question that I always have is if you, this is like a change order, and it's not saying that it's a change order, but it is a change order. And that's what should be explained. If this is a change order, does this $14,000, is this $14,000 more than the 21% of the original bid? That's what we should be talking about for this particular resolution.
Council President, the amount, like you said, the amount is not up to that amount 21%, at all.
Okay, but you're saying it says you want to award a contract, and this is definitely a change order. If the councilwoman is saying that we awarded the contract for the for the vehicle wash bay, and then the same people are doing it, but Mr. Onateri, rather than to talk about whether it's a change order or not, because I know that it is, I would just like to know if the people that's getting this particular contract, Vernick, are the same people that had the vehicle wash bay contract. Are they the same people?
No. This is just the engineering firm.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Council President?
Yes.
Quick question. What I don't understand is the amount value of $14,200. I thought the threshold to go through the fair and open process was $17,500. Business Administrator Cruz, can you explain that? For Resolution 2637, why are we going through seeking the fair and open process for something that's under the threshold of $14,200?
It's still called fair and open process, even if it's below the threshold. Yeah, even if it's below the threshold, it's still considered to be fair and open because you are still following the procurement process.
Yeah, but why? But we don't usually go to the fair and open process for amounts for services or products under $17,500, correct?
Well, anything that the city procures that is also superseen, that is overseen by the New Jersey local public contract laws is considered fair and open. Even if it's $500, because there are certain guidelines that you must follow. Anything below anything from 0 to 17.5 is one process. Anything above 17.5 and up to 40,000 is another process, and anything over 40,000 is a different process. So we are still following the guidelines of open.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, our practice here is that I don't see these amounts on our docket. So why is this one on here?
Hello, this is Janet Schoenhart. Can I speak? I'm
Yes.
sorry, Mr. Cruz. I believe that this company, Remington and Vernick engineers, have been used before, and I think they're over the threshold so that every time past the amount that they did as previous contracts, they have to go, we have to bring them.
Hold on 1 second, Ms. Schoenhart. Can that person please be muted by IT? I cannot identify who's making that noise. Thank you, Ms. Schoenhart. Please proceed.
I'm sorry. This company, Remington and Vernick engineers, I believe they've been used before, and I believe they went over, they have been, it makes it over the threshold, so to go, anytime you use this company, you have to go for approval because they've already been over the threshold of the 44.
Okay, understood. Thanks, Mr. Cruz and Ms. Schoenhart.
Council President, how would you like me to proceed?
Continue. This could be consent.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have Resolution 20-638, a resolution accepting a bid and awarding a contract to Core and Main LP to furnish and deliver cold water meters for routine meter maintenance in accordance with BPU requirements for the City of Trenton Department of Water and Sewer in an amount not to exceed $1,370,481 through bid 2020-63.
I have a question on that.
Go right ahead.
Yes, it says it is for routine meter maintenance. That's what it says here. And then that was mandated by BPU, according to BPU requirements. And how many meters are we talking about? 1,370,481. That's a lot of money. Are we going to be replacing all the meters in Trenton, or what is it? This is confusing here. It's for routine maintenance. Why are we spending so much money on that? My question. Also, before we start with these waterworks resolutions, during the last meeting, I asked a question about the forensic audit of waterworks, and I was promised a report, and I have not received anything yet. The last meeting, all the directors were gone, and I was promised a report on the status of the forensic audit, and I like to have that, know that before I vote on, or before I agree to vote on any of these. Whoever can answer me the question.
I believe Mr. Cruz is asking for recognition.
Yeah, I am here, but also the director is also on the line, Mr. Lavenberg.
Well, so first, what's the status on the forensic audit? And then we go into 638.
I am trying to give Mr. Lavenberg time to be able to unmute himself and speak. If not, I will. All right.
Mr. Lavenberg? Go ahead, Mr. Cruz. I'm sorry.
All right. My apologies. Councilman, to your point of your concern of the $1.3 million expenditure, part of the package that is included on your resolution, they mentioned the cost per meter, and if you look at the breakdown, there are certain amounts that the water department has selected for each size of the meter, and each size, of course, is a different price. And it is my understanding that with the lead lines, replacement, they are also replacing meters as they go through each house, because they take advantage that they are actually doing the work. They have to flush the line, and then they also being that they have to be inside of the house, advantage in replacing the meters. The city is required to test the meters after so many years, and then they are required to replace them after so many years. It is actually an advantage for the city to buy new, to replace the meters, because as the meters grow older, they slow down, and so that actually costs the city. The city loses money because the meters are not measuring the water as it's being taken in by the consumer. So by them replacing the meters is actually an advantage to us. So when it talks about the required by the BPU, the BPU requires that they be tested every so many years and then replaced after so many years, and the city had not done this in a couple of decades, I think, and they were only replacing the meters as they were being reported by the consumer as them being defective and not reading the consumption properly. So that's the reason why they have, the large number. I believe that on a daily basis, because we're not only replacing lead lines, service lines in Trenton, we're also replacing them in 3 other municipalities. It is actually an amount of approximately between 25 to 30 lines that are being done daily. And so they will require for them to also replace 25 to 30 meters per day.
Mr. Cruz, my question was because the resolution said routine meter maintenance. So this is the wording. That's what I'm questioning, this wording. If it's because I understand your point and it makes sense, but then it's not a routine meter maintenance issue. It's something that we need to do because if we're going to take advantage of the lesser says, they are going to go to the basement, so might as well, if the meter is not good, well, replace it. I understand that point, but what I was asking, why it's called routine meter maintenance? That was my confusion there.
Yeah, probably. I could not answer that, Councilman. I would be making assertion that I really should not be. If I am telling you otherwise, I think I will be doing the director a disservice by answering on his behalf. I was just answering from the knowledge that was given to me based on conversations we've had with the department.
Can you answer me my question about the forensic audit? I've been waiting for about 2 weeks on that.
So as far as the forensic audit, yes, Councilman, I believe the auditing company, the auditors have actually, the forensic audit company have actually, I believe, have been in communication with the water director, and I believe they are working on the plan on how to go about acquiring the records and other things. I don't know if Janet has anything else to add to that. Janet, since you are the CFO of the city, if contact has been had with you by the department or by the auditing company.
This is John Schoenhart. There was a draft of a plan by the forensic auditors, and it was given to Mark Lavenberg, but I do not know where that plan stands. I don't know if there was any revisions or anything to that. That's all I know.
Can we get copies of that plan? City Council.
Once it's the plan that it's all agreed upon of where they want to start out at, because I had some comments to what they wanted to do, and I'm not sure if anybody else had any comments to that. So that I haven't heard back from them, from Mark, on what the status was of their plan. I seen some things that were not correct on what they were going to be doing in respect to the years that they were going to be reviewing. So I corrected it, but I didn't have any response on the outcome of that.
Yes, can anybody hear me?
Okay. Yeah.
Hello, can anybody hear me? This is Mark Lavenberg.
There we go.
Yes, we can hear you, Mr. Lavenberg.
Oh, I apologize so much, Council President. I've had some issues getting on tonight, and I thought I was on, but I had been muted by somebody. Councilman Rodriguez, yes. We did have a very good meeting with Grassi, the accounting firm, and they did provide us with a outline on how to proceed. We are currently in the process of getting the contract written up with Grassi to get them started as soon as possible. And, I don't know if there's any members of council that would be interested in meeting with the auditor prior to the beginning of this, if there's any targeted areas.
I am very interested.
Yes. So I would love to
I am too.
Yes, that's great. That's perfect.
Me three.
All right. As long as we don't have too many and we're okay as far as the sunshine law, I'd like to have you all involved with that. And we can set that up via a team meeting, or if we want to have a meeting at Cortlandt Street, that would be fine by me.
Cortlandt Street, there's three of us.
Sure. Okay, that would be great. And let me get that set up as soon as possible because, the outline is a very broad net, and I think we should stick with that broad net. But if there's any targeted areas that we can do to give you guys the confidence in Trenton Waterworks, I want to get those issues addressed as soon as possible, just like you do.
I appreciate that very, very, very much.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Conlon?
Yes.
Mr. Conlon, is Councilman Blakely. I'm just calling that I'm in.
Thank you, sir. Your arrival is being noted at 7:36 p.m.
Go right ahead, Mr. Conlon.
Council President, I have a quick question on this resolution.
For the 638.
638, the meters.
Okay.
I agree with Councilman Rodriguez. If this is not routine meter maintenance, then the resolution needs to be better defined. Because I'm concerned about core maintenance, LP, that you're awarding a contract to. Now, because I'm very concerned about the scope of work here and what service they're going to be providing. Because what was just described, if I recall, Mr. Lavenberg, when that 50 million bond was approved, 3 council meetings back, you said that there is I don't remember, I don't want to quote the millions of dollars, okay? The 8-figure number, it was an 8-figure number in the millions that you were allocating for a strategic digital meter replacement across the water system. Now, does this work has to do with any of that strategic work across the digital meters to upgrade the whole system with digital meters? Because that's what it said in that bond with that 8-figure number attached to it. Can you answer my question?
Yes, Council President, if I may have the floor.
Yes, go right ahead.
Yeah, so Councilwoman Vaughn, I really do appreciate the question, and I'm sorry I wasn't online for the beginning question with this. This is certainly all in line, and this is just the first step of many in which we're going to modernize the meter system throughout the Trenton Waterworks system. As I stated before, we have approximately 65,000 meters in the system. 34,000 of them are in excess of 10 years old. So we're going to be
okay. All right. I'm not interested in the story. I know the story. I know the background. All I'm asking is, for the sake of time, is this 1.3 million being funded by that bond that the council approved?
That is correct, Councilwoman.
Okay. And now I'm going to ask you another question. So, what resources are going to be utilized? Because our maintenance crews our city employees that routine, that perform, as Councilman Rodriguez was alluding to. I mean, why are we outsourcing this or privatizing this work when you have resources at Trenton Waterworks who are Trentonians, who are residents of our city, who could do this work? Routine meter maintenance? Why do we need to contract that out?
Councilwoman, I apologize if that was misconstrued. That work will all be performed by the meter department at Trenton Waterworks.
Well, who's this core maintenance people?
They are the suppliers of the water meter, and they are the regional representative for census meters.
Oh, so it's the hardware that you're purchasing?
Yes, ma'am. This is the water meters themselves and the appurtenances that go with that. That could be the wiring, that could be the MXUs, that could be the radio connections, and all the various fittings that go with the water meter. But let me assure you that this work is all being performed.
Okay, but how come it doesn't read that way, Mark? I mean, Mr. Lavenberg, how come it doesn't read that way? Can you amend this to read exactly what you just described for Thursday? Because that's not what this says.
Councilwoman, with all due respect, it's my understanding that the QPA does the title of these resolutions. I can certainly make that suggestion. I believe this resolution. Excuse me?
Who wrote this up?
The QPA, or the purchasing agent, does the titling of the resolutions, and I believe this one was pulled before for some issues related to the title itself.
Well, we need an accurate description of what services and products we're purchasing.
Right? I certainly understand that, and this is the maintenance of what we're doing. Is it
maintenance infers that there are people performing maintenance. Human resources perform maintenance.
No, we have a maintenance department just for meters, and we have a maintenance department. Right.
I understand. I think we're talking past each other, but I'm saying that you just said that. I'm trying to get clarity on what this resolution is for. Are you buying?
Well, we are buying. The Core and Main will be furnishing and delivering cold water meters.
Okay.
For routine meter maintenance, that'll be performed by the utility. I mean, I can ask if we can have that added in.
Oh, yes.
Okay,
when we contract out, I want to make sure that none of this, what we're purchasing, is equipment, and we're not using them for consultants, their labor, nothing of the sort. I would expect that the labor will be done. Consulting, project management, installs are going to be done by and large by Trentonians.
Absolutely.
Well, Councilwoman, what I am looking at the resolution, and it does say on the heading to furnish and deliver cold water meters for routine meter maintenance. It doesn't say anything about consulting. And then if you look at the breakdown attached to it, it's very clear as to the number of meters that they are that we are requesting that they provide to us. I think the language is pretty, going into how it's going to be installed. I think it's beyond what the resolution should be saying.
Okay, then I stand corrected. Thanks for providing that clarity, Mr. Cruz. I was mistaken. I thought that they were actually going to do the maintenance, but you're absolutely correct. I'm my bad.
Council President, how would you like to proceed?
Go right ahead for consent agenda.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have resolution.
Did you want to roll call this, Councilman?
I'm sorry.
No.
Yes.
Oh, I'm talking to Councilman Rodriguez.
No, go ahead. Keep it in the consent agenda.
Thank you. All right.
Yes, sir. Next, we have Resolution 20-639, a resolution authorizing the signature for a loan application from the New Jersey Environmental Infrastructure Financing Program for Phase 2 and Phase 3 of the lead service line replacement program, Trenton Waterworks.
Council President?
Go right ahead, Councilwoman Caldwell-Wilson.
Yes. Mr. Lavenberg, is is this loan actually replacing the bonds that we did not approve?
No. This is, so far you've been graciously approved $15 million bond and a $25 million bond. The final piece of this in phase 3 would be for a $15 million bond that would bring the total award to $40 million for the lead service replacement line. The NJI Bank, when we reach that goal, and if we can have the contract in place by September 2021, we'll forgive half the loan or do a 50% forgiveness. So you'll be forgiven $20 million of that, and certainly need it. And when we reach that phase 3, we should be approximately at 21%, far exceeding what our ACO is for the lead service line replacement.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Council President, how would you like to proceed?
Roll call this.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have Resolution 20-640, a resolution exercising the option to extend the contract awarded to Greer Lime Company for the furnishing and delivering of quick lime for the Department of Water and Sewer water filtration plant in an amount not to exceed $122,136 through bid number 2019-38.
If no one have any questions, it can go on to the consent agenda.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have Resolution 20-641, a resolution accepting a bid and awarding a contract to Capital Supply Construction Products for the furnishing and delivering of full circle bands, couplings, and tapped-out sleeves for the repair or installation of water mains and sometimes in the renewal of leaking water services for the Department of Water and Sewer in an amount not to exceed $44,380 through bid 2020-64.
No one have any questions, it can go on to the consent agenda.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have Resolution 20-642, a resolution authorizing contract award to 72-Hour LLC DBA National Auto Fleet Group for the purchase of a 2021 Ford Super Duty F-350 SRW XL four-wheel drive Super Cab 8-foot box utility pickup and related accessories for the engineering office as the standby operating in being able to report on-site and be informed in responding to emergency situations in the water distribution system in an amount not to exceed $72,241.52. Questions?
I have no questions. It could be added on to the consent agenda.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have Resolution 20-643, resolution awarding a contract through a fair and open process in accordance with NJSA 19:44A20.4 et sec to Mott McDonald LLC for engineering services for construction of the raw water intake in an amount not to exceed $421,691 through RFP 2020-42. Questions?
We just voted this down. We just voted a resolution like this down. Why is this back here? We just voted this down about one council meeting ago.
Can we roll call back, Ms.?
Yeah, Council President, I believe this is the first time we presented this to the council for the intake at the filtration plant.
We just voted a contract. Okay. All righty. So we can roll call this.
I don't recall this coming up, but this is certainly pertinent to the next resolution coming up, which would be the construction of the intake at the filtration plant.
2643 is being roll called. Next, 2644. A resolution accepting bids and awarding a contract to PAC 2 LLC for raw water intake improvements to oversee the construction of the raw water intake structure modifications at the water filtration plant, including review of shop drawings, supervision of construction work, validation of invoices, scheduling, resolving conflicts and requests, coordination with TWW equipment, preparation of procedures of TWW operations, and training of TWW personnel in an amount not to exceed $5,550,000 through bid 2020-58.
Oh, you got the roll call that one.
This definitely has to be roll called.
Question on that, but is that the $5 million are going to come out of the bonds, the $50 million bonds?
Council President, no, this is coming out of an existing capital fund, and we're also using money in the 2022 operating budget as well to fund this project. And this project is the linchpin of doing any work addressing the water reservoir The reason that we needed to replace a reservoir for the last approximately 50 years is issues with the undersized intake that has a tendency to get clogged up with ice and debris that comes down there. And, this is certainly a giant step at a major cost to the city, but it's a move in the right direction to get the ACO related to the reservoir, underway. But this is already funded for.
So let me just get some understanding here. First, say that PAC 2 LLC for raw water intake improvement. So if you're using them for raw water intake improvements, then I would like to know what are the engineers that we have on our payroll doing. We got Patel. We have Smith, Epstein, and we have Mr. Johnson. So what are we doing with all of the engineers that we have already? If we're talking about the intake improvement to oversee the construction of raw water intake, then you talk about training, personnel training. All of our people at the water department over at the filtration plant trained you and others under the operational services and the other company. I can't think of the name off the top of my head. Wade Trim. Right. So when you talk about somebody else training the water work personnel, I'm not getting that. You're doling out $5 million for validation of invoices. Scheduling. Is this a joke? Scheduling, resolving conflict, and I think this is a joke. $5 million, almost $6 million here. I think this is a joke. This can be roll call because I just don't get when you say and training of Trenton water personnel, and our people that are over there have been there for 25 years, and we supposed to have some type of joint shared communication with Mercer County Community College for them to take classes, and then they've been there for 20 and 15 and 10 years. So what are you training them for? They should be taking classes to get those T3s, 2s, and the T4s, and the W3s, and the W4s over at Mercer County. I don't understand what, this can be roll call, Mr. Conlon.
Yes, ma'am.
Council President?
Yes.
Could I have Mr. Lavenberg give me an explanation of this resolution?
Yes.
Yeah, so I appreciate that, Councilwoman. There's been issues with the intake at the filtration plant for at least 50 years. And if we go back to 1974, when they had to backflush the intake because it was clogged with ice, that's when we had the major break at the Clearwater, or the clear well at the filtration plant that led for the city to be out of water for, I believe, 2 months. So that's been an issue that needs to be done for a long time. And in order to clean out the intake, we have to flow water from the reservoir at Pennington Avenue and then flow it back to the treatment plant and blast the ice out. So we've been in design for this since at least 2019 to get this design through. It's a much larger intake. It has the ability to blast air out of the intake in case of this clogged with ice, so we don't have to backflow the water out of the reservoir. And I think with the training in there with the Trenton water personnel is so that when this new technology goes in place, that the contractor has to provide training to our employees on how the intake will actually work. To work on the intake itself, from an engineering standpoint, is we have to build what they call a coffer dam, which will go around the portions of the intake and actually create a dam on the Delaware River. We're very restricted with time in order to build this cofferdam, we have to build it this winter and have it and be out and complete the cofferdam by spring when the next fish run comes in or the DEP won't allow us to continue with the cofferdam. Once the cofferdam is in place, work can proceed actually inside the river because we'll be blocking the water from going into the area that we're working on, and demolition of the existing intake and the building of a new intake, and this has to be done over a 2-year period where they'll be building 2 separate cofferdams to complete it. So it's quite an engineering issue. There's a lot of risk that the contractor takes because we really can't predict the conditions of the Delaware River. A really severe storm could perhaps breach the cofferdam and set the contractor back months and months and months with that kind of work. I understand this is an incredible amount of money that needs to be done. There's an awful lot in here with the title, but it's work that needs to be done so that we can get started on the reservoir project as well.
Thank you, Mr. Lavenberg.
Council President?
Yes, go right ahead.
Mr. Lavenberg, I'm glad that you mentioned the reservoir project. Last council meeting, when we passed those that $50 million bond, there was a lot of talk about these required projects from the regulator, from DEP. And now, here we are talking about bringing on a contractor. Looks like just to oversee, sounds like a consultancy, oversee, project manager, consulting. It's all the same thing. So that's why we have you over there, Mr. Lavenberg, and as Council President said, and all the rest of the professional hired individuals to do just this. So I don't really understand this resolution. I'm certainly not going to vote for it, but I just want to bring to your attention and just keep you focused on the job at hand. And the job at hand is to meet those obligations under the ACO. And you came here, again, I didn't vote for the $50 million, but I can tell you this much. Since you got it, and my other council members did, and I support them. So there you go. You need to make sure you said you were going to hire an engineering firm to come here in Trenton, do an assessment of that property that we approved you to buy over on Prospect Street, and that reservoir, to find a way to configure, to drain that water out of that hole and put those. I mean, there were a bunch of options that you said that you were thinking about putting forward. We haven't seen any of that. So I'm not approving anything of this magnitude without you coming up, bringing us that plan on how you're going to meet the requirements of the ACO and get DEP off our backs. So I don't see any of that. You got that $50 million, and now you think you could just walk away and go back to business as usual?
Point of order. I think we've already decided.
Right, so wait a minute. I'm just going to finish. And you think it's going to go back to business as usual and bring these type of resolutions to us? Please, next meeting, bring us the plan, or sometime thereafter, of how you're going to put that, how you're going to drain that reservoir. I think this will be eventually throwaway. If you're going to replace the reservoir, why are you drawing water from the reservoir when you're going to replace that? So I want to know what the plan is strategically to meet those requirements. Until then, I won't be voting for nothing like this. Thank you, Council President. I yield my time.
This is going to be already established, so we can move right on to 20.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have 20-640. Next, we have Resolution 20-645, a resolution awarding a contract through a fair and open process in accordance with NJSA 1944A 20.4 et sec. to Jacobs Engineering Group, Inc. for engineering services for Phase 1 and 2 of the decentralized water storage tank project in an amount not to exceed $650,000 through RFP 2020-38.
Roll call, Mr.
I have a question.
Go right ahead, Councilman Rodriguez.
Yes, this is going back Ms. McBride mentioned it already, that we approved D.M. Smith. We approved the last meeting. We approved another engineering company. What is it that we need a different engineering company, a consultant for each project? What is D.M. Smith doing, and what is the other company that was approved 2 weeks ago doing? Why do you $650,000 on another consulting engineer? They're not working; they are just consulting. So, can somebody answer that?
Council President?
Yes.
Yes, Councilman Rodriguez. This is the through the RFPs that we reviewed. Jacobs was the finalist that we chose to go with the design for the construction of the reservoir that Councilwoman Vaughn was referring to at 942 Prospect Street, and how to decommission the Pennington Reservoir. So this is directly related to the $30 million of the $50 million bond for the decentralizing or decommissioning of the Pennington Reservoir.
That's what I see, but that means that those other engineering firms that are doing consulting for water works, they are not able to do these drawings or whatever.
So
What is it that they do? What is it that D.M. Smith do? What is it that the other company is going to do?
Well, I understand D.M. Smith is integral to the lead service line replacement program. That is their specialty. Jacobs is one of the nation's largest engineering firms when it comes to the construction of reservoirs and large structures like this, and we felt hands down that they were the most qualified to do this very important project. Each engineering firm has its own specialty, and in this case, we went with Jacobs for the reservoir project.
Mr. Collin, is that the agenda? Is that the docket?
Yes, ma'am. That is the end of docket review. We will now move.
Oh, wait a minute. Are we roll calling 2645?
Yes, ma'am.
That, right?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
2645 was designated for roll call. The next part of our agenda are public comments on docket items only. To docket items only. I will unfortunately be compelled to correct you if you stray from the docket items. Council President, Ms. Sherry Garrett is seeking recognition.
Yes, go right ahead.
Ms. Garrett, please unmute yourself and state your name and address for the record.
Sherry Garrett, and I live in the West Ward.
Yes, ma'am. Okay,
so I'll start with 2621. Is this an estimate to $72,000 per year? Return $72,000 a year, because it says a flat fee, but it seems like every time a resolution comes up under Mr. Cruz, we're asking for more money. Let me go back. 2063, 2626, 2627, 2629, and 2635. In regards to the IT, I'm not really sure why there are, as the city needs a web-based program. And there should be money being spent on servers to handle all web-based programs. So every time someone or whatever department needs to use the portion of a system, that they can access it through a web-based program. That's how most corporations work. So I'm not really sure if the city has like multiple servers, like a server for printing, a server for email, etc. But that's how those servers, that's what the purpose of a server. And all of that is worked off of the server or web-based, various web-based programs or program for just comprehensive to the whole city of Trenton, but everyone will have to get permission to access, okay, depending on what their workload is or what their job responsibility is. So I don't understand why we are getting all these various contracts for software, and the company we just hired should know that. let me see. Resolution 2630, authorized payment request for Carol Deletion. Yes. If you're telling me it's going to take $86,000 or $35,000 to demo a house, that's baloney. I know with Sandy Recovery, as you know, there were a number of houses in the thousands, and it only cost the state of New Jersey $10,000 per house. As far as the permits, as far as getting those permits and whatnot, that came through DEP. Okay, so I don't know if that, because we're talking about a small area, we're talking about Trenton. I don't know if that's a need be, because I think the permits are coming from Trenton anyway. But it should, that was capping off the pipes, removing and having DEP come in and do the environmental testing of the soil. That include also the removal of the demo, the demolition of the house. That all was compacted into $10,000. So I don't understand why we're spending $35,000 per house. Somebody's not doing their right research. In regards to 2635, forget about that. 2638 underwater. I don't know why. To me, I don't understand why we're continuing to approve these for Trenton Waterworks. Because if you're telling me this thing for Trenton Waterworks, this forensic audit was approved a while ago, okay? So now you're telling me when there's questions asked about this whole forensic audit, I was under the impression that there was already a draft put in place, okay? And it was and I think they were in phase 1 or going to start phase 1, and the holdup was the approving of the resolution. So now I'm hearing that there's a draft, and everybody, the administration is really, the city council's auditing the administration, but you're having much say on what is being audited. And my question is, how many? I'm assuming city council had explained. I thought there was a list of criteria or specifications from city council of what should be covered in this audit, and I'm not hearing that. Okay. In regards to the meters, I specifically heard that $50 million was to purchase meters, and this was the new meters, blah, 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 blah. So I hope that with this $1,037,481 that is written in there, that's coming from that bond. I'm going to wrap it up. And where else? Something else I wanted to mention. What are some of the agendas? Okay. Phase 3. I think I said something. Oh, and about this loan. 2640, 2642, and 2643, and 2644. I just printed out this agenda today. And maybe about 3-4 hours prior to this meeting. And it's not even on here. Okay? So I have a problem with that. In regards to the reservoir, that's what I want to say. I'm wrapping it up. In regards to the Delaware River and that reservoir, now you said that the gentleman, Mr. Lavingberg, stated that the reservoir has to be addressed because it freezes up and there's leaves and stuff dropping in it, blah, blah, blah. Well, the Delaware River has a whole bunch of daggone branches in it, okay? And none of that has been pulled up. So I don't understand, and Delaware River freezes up. So I don't get where some of the things you're saying, the reason why the reservoir has to be addressed, it's the same issue with the Delaware River. And the last, but at least who controls the Delaware River? Because if all our water is coming from the Delaware River, and we don't control the Delaware River and the water that flows in and out of the Delaware River, I have a feeling we're going to get a surcharge or a tax on that. Where it seems like if we get rid of the reservoir, somehow I think that we're giving something away, or we're not looking a little further in the future. Because if we're depending solely on the Delaware River, because we're trying to do away with that reservoir, I think there's a sham going on. I really do. Because somehow down the road, I just think there's something going to get thrown in here, and you all are not looking at the bigger picture. Because the excuses that I'm hearing for a lot of these resolutions is hogwash. And it seems like it comes across to me like there's a con gang going on here. And the reason that I think that some of these resolutions come up and they're worded a little differently, so it doesn't look like that you're spending money. You already borrowed money for this reason on the meters, for example, and then you send another resolution and you're saying that you're borrowing more money, or you want to spend more money on the same reason that you said you were going to spend it in the first place. So it's really called covering your butt. So I think you all need, and the legal department,
hello?
She was muted by somebody. IT, did somebody mute her?
Yes, they did. And somebody, they ought to know, the legal department, that it's just like a contract. When they put these resolutions together, there are certain details, certain information that has to be in these resolutions, okay, to make sure that there's no theft of public funds. So I think whoever's looking over these resolutions before they get to City Council, they need to be fired. They need to be fired, because the excuses and statements that I'm hearing from the administration for bringing forth some of these resolutions and the way the information that's not in there, it's not transparent. I think it's either on purpose, some con is going on, or some sham is going on. If that's not going on, then the person don't know their job. I'm done.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bett. Next, Mr. Conlon.
We have fired from Longport.
All righty.
Please unmute yourself and please state your name and address for the record. Fired from Longport has lowered their hand. Next, I'm assuming you do no longer wish to be recognized? Thank you. Next, we have fired from Longport, does not wish to be recognized. Next, we have Ms. Evangeline Ugori.
Go right ahead.
May I speak?
Yes, you may.
Ms. Ugori, please
okay,
state your name.
Thank you. Yes, Evangeline Ugori, Southward resident of Trenton, on Adeline Street. So I have listened to all of this, and I echo some of the sentiments previously expressed by the previous fellow Trenton City resident from the West Ward, Ms. Garrett. Of particular interest to myself, and before I state what that particular interest is, I just want to make the comment that it seems that the administration is more interested in spending our tax dollars or putting the yoke of debt more and more on us than, how do I say, empowering this Trenton City residents and citizens to make a place of this year Trenton. Well, we are not in favor of squandering our money, and I'm just going to leave that to the council. They already know where I stand on some of these issues. It doesn't bear repeating. And administration knows how I feel about that in my previous comments. But of particular interest to me, having said that, is that here they are trying to spend more of our taxpayers' money, trying to have somebody help them with tax sales, properties, and demolitions and all of that, with specific reference to resolutions 2627 and 2629. I personally, as an vested resident here in the city of Trenton, have been interested in helping you with your tax sales. Okay, I have researched your current list. I have expressed interest in one particular property, and to date, I have yet to get any cogent, any substantive response regarding my expressed interest. I'm talking with particular interest regarding a tax sale. I believe they had, I think the number was 201343. Can anybody here on this year administration, Department of Finance and Tax and Economic and Housing and Economic Development tell me what is the process to assist you with those of us who are vested enough to research the issues, want to invest in the city that we live in? Why is it that we run my my particular self? Why am I running into walls, getting answers that should be public information? Can somebody answer that question?
Ms. Uguri, this is not the proper time.
Me?
This is not the proper time or place for
I'm
that.
speaking with specific reference to the.
Moreover, your statements must reflect Ms. Uguri, your statements must be limited. Ms. Uguri, your statements must be limited to the docket item.
My question relates to docket item 2627629. Okay, they're pertinent to those. So you want my council to approve money for you to help you with people with online tax sales and whatever. And here I am as a vested interested city resident, and I'm trying to help you in that line, and I'm not getting anywhere. And you say somehow this is not related to the docket item?
Ms. Uguri, please let me.
I just want an answer. That's all.
So we'll have the clerk get an answer for you tomorrow. You know that the way that this works is you put your complaints out, and we will get back. Someone will get back to you, reach out to you, and try to get you an answer.
I would really appreciate that, Madam President, and Honorable City Clerk.
Yes, ma'am. If you, Ms. Uguri, if you
request.
reach out to me by email tomorrow, I'd be more than happy to get you an answer to your question. Or
Yes,
please
sir.
feel free to stop by as you do. As always, you're always welcome.
Yes, sir. Thank you all. I'll yield.
Our next question is from Sue D. Longport, who had her hand raised, but has exited the building. Are there any other members of the public wishing to have public comment related to docket items only? Council President, everybody who has their hand raised has already spoken. Do I have a motion to end public comment?
So moved.
I have a motion from Council Vice President Caldwell-Wilson. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Council President McBride. All in favor?
Aye.
Need one more at least. There we go. Any opposed? Seeing none opposed, so ordered. Public portion is closed. We will now move to civic comments from council.
Before we start with the civic comment, I would just like the administration to be able to present us with the signed contract for the audit. Mr. Conlon, could you right now provide us, can you go into your computer there where you are now and pull up the signed contract for the audit? Because every time we pass a resolution or an ordinance, it has to be signed by administration and then forwarded it to us. So I've learned with Mr. Kaloji that never took place. So I just want to make sure moving forward. So can you pull up the signed forensic audit contract?
Council President, since I've been here, I have only received 2 contracts back from the administration, which I have attested to, so I do not have a copy of that contract in this office. Nor do I believe that contract has actually come through this office for attestation. I have also sent a memo to the administration indicating that many of the contracts that are attested to by the clerk's office have not come back, and we are working on a means to resolve that.
Okay,
so unfortunately, ma'am, I cannot.
All right, so that leads me to my question for the administration. I would appreciate if the administration sends down the contract, the resolution that was passed by this body for the audit. Can we have a physical copy of that resolution signed, the one that's signed?
Talking about the contract, ma'am, or the resolution? My apologies.
The act, both really, the resolution and the contract itself. Because we should have both of them, shouldn't we?
I do have the signed resolution. I do not have the contract pursuant to that resolution, though.
Okay, can we get the contract?
Yes, ma'am. I'll get together with Mr. Cruz tomorrow and solicit that contract from him.
All righty, I appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am.
All righty, Councilwoman Vaughn, civil comment.
Yeah, I just want to put on my stopwatch here on my phone because I don't want anybody interrupting me while I'm speaking and telling me that my time is up. So it's 8:20, so I should be done at 8:30. So I've been assigned to be.
Excuse me, could you make that 8:25?
I'm going to do my best. I'm going to try to get done through it very quickly. The library board, I'm a liaison to the library board. There was one issue that was brought to my attention when I sat in a meeting this last Thursday, and that was that they are spending $10,000 of whatever funds they have to purchase technology install services. They shared that they purchased 90 computers to be installed, and they hired a technology company somewhere in Mercer County, of course not in Trenton, to install computers at the library. And I raised my hand there, and I got a lot of resistance, but nonetheless, I wanted the technology department, and also Mr. Cruz, and Mr. Rivera to look into that, because I would expect fully that the IT firm that we just contracted with should be over there installing those computers. There's no reason that any entity in the city should contract out those type of services when we've hired a technology firm to do installs of that nature. I mean, I don't understand why. Mr. Cruz, can you quickly explain to me why the library, the Trenton Public Library, is not sourcing our technology group, our technology support team, to install 90 new computers? I mean, to plug them up, pretty much, plug them up to the network. Why isn't, I thought our technology company, that's one of the network services we purchased from them.
Councilwoman, this is the first I'm hearing of it. The library has not reached out to me, but I can contact the IT and see what's going on. But this is the first time I hear that they are getting
That's someone. Fair. And if you could do that, I much appreciate it, because I would think that $10,000 could be used for a lot of different things. Could help kids get some tutoring, reading, storytelling weekends. I don't know, but I would hate to get them to use that $10,000 to somebody to come in and install 90 computers when we can do that in-house here for them in our technology group. The other, they can use that $10,000 for something else. The other thing is, who's here from the law department? Who's here representing law department? I had asked for a simple ordinance to be amended, and I still haven't gotten it yet. Rashawn, Rashawn Williams, who's the other person representing the law department? Pardon me?
Julie Murray, ma'am.
Okay. I have asked for, we have a resolution on referendum. And I've been out here trying to educate our residents on that referendum. And I had asked for weeks now for that resolution to be amended. Correct. It needs to be corrected because there's language in there that's incorrect. Actually, it's just one word that needs to be changed, and I haven't gotten anything from the law department. And I just want to know, why is that the case?
I'm sorry.
Taxpayers are paying you all to do that. I sent the resolution to Peter Cohen, to Ms. Abdur Razak, and I asked them to make sure they have that resolution on this docket so I can put it back out. People are, and it's not done.
You?
Pardon me?
Well, if you would please be kind, I can't explain what happened in the past, but if you would send it
I'm gonna be frank. Okay, I understand that. Thank you, Ms. Murray, and thank you, Mr. Williams. At the end of the day, to do an amendment to an ordinance or a resolution should be done. It doesn't take a person with a JD to do it. That should have been done.
All right, what I'm saying is...
It should be done in the clerk's office then.
Excuse me, whoever's speaking that is not a member of council and is not solicited by council, please do not speak. This is their time. Thank you.
Okay, so anyway, and I have gotten feedback from the law department by certain individuals who said it's not their job. Okay, so if you guys can get that back to us, which I'm about to get into, roles and responsibilities in the municipality. Okay, so there's a lot of chatter out there in my city where people really don't know what people are supposed to do at City Hall. And there are some folks, and there are some folks.
I'm sorry, Councilmember Vaughn.
If you could take that person out of this meeting, if they're going to interrupt me again.
Yeah, please kick that person out of the meeting next time they interrupt. Thank you.
Okay.
My apologies, Councilmember.
Thank you so much. So I need to let folks know what I do pursuant to the law, what the law department function is pursuant to the law, what the mayor function is pursuant to the law. There's a lot of folks that have been elected, have been appointed, who don't know their jobs and are taking on roles that they should not be lawfully. So you can go around here and pump your chest or do whatever it is that everybody's doing, but your role is defined in the law. We don't make this stuff up. This is defined for everybody long before we were even born on the planet, okay? So municipalities are run the same way. Nobody can mess this up. Okay? All we got to do is go to the Faulkner Act, and it tells us exactly what we all supposed to be doing. And we're not doing that. Some people are overstepping their bounds. So I need that ordinance amended, that resolution that's on the ballot, so I can get it out to the people so it's correct.
Well, can you forward it to myself
and Julie? I will resend it to everybody. The other situations around roles and responsibilities, I get a lot of calls from my constituents because folks are concerned about certain things that has occurred that they want investigated. And I can tell you, as an elected official representing my constituents, I will use, as I said before I got elected, that I will use the full power of my seat to move the agenda and the concerns of my constituents forward. So when my constituents come to me with any complaint, I'm going to make sure I raise it and it gets the proper attention by the proper authorities. The mayor is supposed to act on certain issues, appointed officials, everybody who's a director here it serves at the pleasure of the mayor. The mayor appointed each and every one of you. You are not protected by civil service or the union. Any type of issue that comes up, that's for this council who appointed you, who approved the appointment, and the mayor who appointed you. So I just want, and hence, we are here serving the electorate of this city. So when folks say to me, well, it's not my job to investigate, that's the NAACP job, or that's the Ask Me union job, or that's the PBA job. No, the law says, or is the law department the job? I just want to know where in the state statute, the Faulkner Act, that states that the law department investigates anything. That's not the role of the law department. The law department investigates nothing. N-O-T-H-I-N-G, nothing.
Councilwoman, that's incorrect.
I got one more minute.
Councilwoman, that's incorrect. And
Well,
Please interrupt Mr. Williams.
Mr. Williams, you're out of line.
If you're going to address
Can you hear Mr. Collins? So I'm telling you, by statute, by the Faulkner Act, you do nothing. And you send me that statute, and I will share with the public. So by statute, the only entity that gets to investigate is this council. We have investigative powers. Okay?
1 minute, ma'am.
So, and that's all, exactly. And that's all I want to say. And I'm going to exercise those investigative powers. Okay? You don't have that right. And that's what I want to say. And nor does the mayor. So and that goes to the redevelopment authority as well. There are some people who think that they are the redevelopment authority and they don't have to come to this council. Well, they're wrong as well. And if Mr. Rashawn Williams wants to send me the statute from the Faulkner Act that says that the law department has investigatory powers, send it to me, Mr. Williams. Send it
10 seconds.
I bet you couldn't send it to me.
I'll send you.
So at the end of the day, that's all I have to say right now. You have no investigatory powers.
Council President, time has expired.
And actually, Mr. Rashawn, you're not even an appointed official, and you should not be speaking. You're an employee.
Expired for the council member.
Stand down, sir. Thank you very much. I'm done.
Okay, Councilman Rodriguez.
Yes, I have to say something about what's going on in Trenton with this crime wave. Some of them kids, some of them 18 years old, have been killed. And I'm still waiting to hear about what's the plan. What is the administration doing? What is the administration going to do? About 6 weeks ago, I met with the mayor, I met with the police director, and they brought in the county prosecutor. What I got was, I wanted them, and us together, council, to come up with a plan, a comprehensive plan to prevent crime. To do something about crime. What I got from the police director was that she had her own plan, and that plan was confidential. That's all I got from her. That was 6 weeks ago. I still have not heard anything about a follow-up meeting so that we can develop a plan. Tonight, I beg our city council, my colleagues, to help me with this issue. We need to develop a plan, a comprehensive plan to deal with this issue of crime and safety in this city. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Councilman Mushal.
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
Councilman Harrison.
I want to let everybody know tomorrow, Wednesday, October 14th, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., Trenton City Hall parking lot, there will be a job fair. If you would like, there's a contact number, 609-989-3369. It's like I said, it's a job fair tomorrow, and there's a lot of people who are looking for work. Please come out there, make sure to bring your resume, and I'd like to wish everybody good evening. Also, is Wally still on the phone? Do you know if Wally's still on the phone?
He should be.
Wally on? Yeah.
Yes. Yes, he's here.
Wally.
Yes.
Yeah, Wally on Hamilton Avenue by the Princess Chicken. There's those metal trash cans. 3 of them have been stolen. Could we have those 3 metal trash cans replaced?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Wally. Appreciate your help, man. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Councilwoman Caldwell-Wilson,
Nothing at this time.
Councilman Blakely.
Yes, thank you so much, President McBride. Is the police director on the line?
She is not, sir.
Yes, sir, I am.
Oh, she was. Okay, my apologies.
Okay,
Yes, I
thank you.
am. During roll call, I
Thank you.
answered up 3 times, Mr. Conlon.
I'm sorry, I did not hear you. I will mark you as being present then. My apologies.
Okay, so I am extraordinarily concerned about the increase in murders and violent crime in the city of Trenton. It seems that if the violence continues at the pace that it is continuing, that we will exceed or come very close to exceeding the most murders in a year that our city has ever had. That's unacceptable to me, and it's unacceptable to my constituents. I am gravely concerned, as I mentioned, about the pace. Every life matters, and I would like to hear from you a general statement or response and a plan that you believe would allow us to put a stop to this, increase in murders. And so I would like to provide you with an opportunity to publicly, make a statement and respond to what's happening. I know that many plans are confidential and, based on information, but are based on information that that you have to keep confidential. But I'd like to just hear your response to what is happening. And I hope to hear, what you need, what can this council provide? Are you receiving all of the resources that you need? And so, without further ado, I'll allow you to, respond to my statement in question. Thank you.
Yes, sir, you're exactly right. I believe that I first made the statement back in July that if we didn't do something and do something quickly, that we would exceed the number of 35 was the number that I believe that I projected. I guess we have to go back to the tapes to see what number I exactly said. Right now, we were on pace of meeting 2017 numbers, which there was 34 homicides at that time. To get a true assessment as to your crime reduction strategies and if it's working, you need a 5-year benchmark. Unfortunately, Trenton never reached the 5-year benchmark of continuous crime reduction. So what that means is that we're still in the throes of it. And because we are, what we're lacking in Trenton is both personnel and technology. These are 2 things that I stated May 2019 when I first arrived in the city of Trenton, that those things needed to be addressed and needed to be addressed quickly. In terms of technology, how it was being pushed out from headquarters to the cars in the street, and how it was being retrieved from our camera system and all other systems that we have in the city. I have said this on multiple occasions that when it comes to technology, Trenton is way behind other agencies and departments and cannot even be considered a 21st century policing agency. And 21st policing means that it is intelligence-led policing. Based on the intelligence is how we curb our crime. So in terms of the plan that we had in place, and the plan is fluid. It's always changing. It's very much organic. And the plan changes based on the crime trend and what we can project as to what is coming. What is driving our numbers this year is internal beef with or disputes with some gangs or neighborhoods, as they like to be referred to, but I think we should call them what they are, gangs. And then there's even internal. Not only are they fighting with other parts of the city, there are times when they are fighting with each other. With the exception of 3 of our homicides this year, that has been the motivation behind the rest of the homicides is that internal arguments, whether it be over drugs or money. There have been no random shootings, with the exception of the 3 that everyone else that was killed, unfortunately, were targeted. Now, in terms of what we're doing with the intelligence that we do get with 2 of the homicides, there was actually a target for 4 based on a dispute that had occurred before. 2 of the people were actually shot and killed, and the other 2 we were able to intercept based on information that we received. So we're constantly working to try and make the city better, but I will go on record and say it again. If you do not increase the number of police officers in the city of Trenton, then we are going to have some lows where we're going to see significant crime reductions, only to see it rise again because we don't have anything consistent in place. When we see the lows in the city and we don't hear the gunshots and we don't hear the about homicides and shooting victims, it's because we have officers that are out there on an overtime basis. I cannot utilize officers on an overtime basis every day, because then what you end up with is fatigue officers who make poor decisions and then further create a liability for the city and the residents that we're supposed to serve. So I will say it again, we have to increase the number of officers that are allowed in the city, and I say these numbers because it's public information. I won't say what we actually have. In comparison, on the scale of, I just deal with police officers, I won't even deal with supervisors. In comparison, on the scale, what the city ordinance allows in terms of total number of police officers is 280. 280 police officers is what the city ordinance allows us to have. In comparison, the number that DCA allow us to have is 233. Now, that's not the total officers, because as the number goes up in the ranks, then the numbers change as to how you can have it, then that becomes your total number. But I'm just dealing with that one number because as we continue, then it grows. So it has been my recommendation. A couple of months ago, I made the same recommendation that we need to start hiring classes of at least 40 officers at a time. The question became, how do we pay for it? Well, that I don't know how we pay for it, but what I can tell you as an expert in my field is that if we don't do something, then what we're seeing is what's going to continue. We're going to have our highs and our lows. We're going to have those periods where officers are out there flooding the streets on an overtime basis, and those are our lows. When they become fatigued and we take them off the street, you're going to start to see us have our highs again. So I strongly recommend to this council that if you want to see a significant change in crime and a consistent change in crime, you're going to have to invest in the total number of officers, and we're going to have to invest in more modern day technology within the city and certainly within the police department. So the plan that I have is obvious as it sounds. I've heard people say, well, why did she just put the cops where the crimes are? Well, I've done that. I don't think any director in this administration has come under more scrutiny than I have. So I put the cops in the areas where I have the issues. Then I get phone calls. The cops won't get out the cars. I took the cars away. I put them on walking posts. And then they said, well, we still don't see the cops. So then when I go out there and I start looking for the cops, then I start to get the grievances that I'm out there on patrol. So folks, let me say this. We can't have it both ways. I am a very much hands-on administrator. So if I put something in place, I am going to go out there and see if it is actually working. But for my efforts, I get grievances about what I'm wearing, about how often I'm out in the streets, about me checking on the police officers. And some of this is facilitated by some of the very people that are listening to me speak right now. What I am saying to you is that I have more than 30 years in this business. I am quite adept at what it is that I do. Allow me to do what I do without the interference that I have received. Folks, let's stop being petty. Let's start putting all of our heads collectively together. Like Councilman Rodriguez said, let's all come together and say, how are we going to do it? Because some of the recommendations that I made to the councilman and to the other council people as well, these are your constituents. Let's start organizing these people into block watch groups. Some of the simplest things work the best. So let's start organizing block watch groups again. I will attend the meetings. I don't know who the contact people are in all of these wards. So then what I had to do when that didn't happen, when I didn't get any calls about this group or that group, I had to change the makeup of my community affairs unit. So I had to put someone, there's a person assigned to each specific ward that I think that will work well with the council person of that ward as well as the constituents in that ward so that we can start to get some of these things going. We are putting the officers out there. We are putting them out there in the places that we're having crime. We are trying to project where the next shooting or homicide will occur. We are trying to interrupt that entire process. And yes, there are some things that I can't always talk about, but putting cops, Stuyvesant and Hamilton, I can talk about that. I can talk about how often they're there. I can talk about the stats that they're bringing in. Those are questions that you ever want to ask me. You can ask me those. But if I'm putting somebody out there in an undercover capacity, I'm not going to talk about that because I'm going to put the operation and the officer in jeopardy. So if there's something undercover or something that I'm working with some of our federal partners, then I won't be able to speak to that as much. But what I can do, and I have committed to this, is that when something happens in the city, although there's not a lot of information that I can give, if you want me to come forward and say we had 30 whatever homicide this year, this was gang related, it was between this gang and that gang, and we have a person of interest, I can say that. The details of the investigation, I'm never going to be able to say that because I can't speak to homicides. That would only come from the prosecutor's office. Shootings, I can do the same thing. But we are putting the officers out there. We are putting them in the problematic locations. We just don't have enough to put them everywhere that we need them.
So I have a few follow-up questions, if you don't mind.
Councilman, your time is up. You yield your time to the police director. I would like to, right now, under my civic comment, have a moment of silence for Ola Williams that was shot on Hermitage Avenue walking down the street. Could we please just have a moment? Thank you. And I would just like to say to the community as a whole, when Ola Williams, she worked at the Trenton Board of Education for approximately 20 years or more as a truant officer. When a person in our community like Ola is gunned down on the streets and you hear nothing from the administration, nothing from the police department, to me, it's appalling. You have a young lady that meant so much to this community. All of the children that have lost their lives mean a lot to us. But for no one to even come forward and speak on this weekend past, it's appalling to me. I want to just mention some things that I know is a factor in the gun violence, and one of them is the state of poverty. And when I look at these dockets, and I see $5 million going out to this company, $6 million to another company, $1 million to another company, all of it is leaving this city, the city of Trenton, and all you have here is concentrated poverty. somebody need to re-examine who they're here representing, because we're supposed to be representing the residents in the city of Trenton. How can we be representing them when every copper penny that we put up is going out of this city? The $5 million, they said it's for training. They said it's for the Trenton Water Works equipment. Then that $5 million should have been going to the training of the employees to get their TW2s, 3s, 4s, W2, 3s, and 4s, and S2s, 3s, and 4s. But we're sending it all out of the city. No, this city is not going to turn itself around as long as every copper penny is leaving. The educational system, I haven't heard anything about what they're doing with this virtual learning. We know that we have a problem in our city, yet and still you don't hear a conversation about how these children are coping with this virtual learning. We were already behind the 8 ball long before COVID-19 hit. Now COVID-19 is here and it's worse. Then you have a Facebook post that says the directors are calling saying things to the employees that they put me on CNN News about. These are some of the things that have to be addressed. The poverty, the unperforming schools. Where are our children at with this virtual learning? We don't hear anything about the social piece, how social workers are going into the homes under this COVID-19. So how can we say that we're doing our job when there's so many pieces that are disconnected? We can't even come to the council meeting and agree that the money is leaving out of the city and it should be here. And until we, as a council, can begin to keep some of these dollars here to change the condition of this private city, we're not going to change nothing. And we're not going to be able to police our way out of it, because I remember in 2010 and 11 and 12, when Tony Mack was the mayor, the DCA cut half of our force down. And we didn't have half the killings that we have now. We had a force with half, I believe, of the officers that we have today. And the murder rate was not this high. And in the year 2005, we were fully loaded with police officers under Mayor Douglas H. Palmer. We had 29 hours of death with a complete force. So I don't believe policing is the way out. I believe that policing, there should be a plan, and that the people should understand that we have help, and the police do their part and the community do their part, but I don't believe you can police your way out of this situation. And so I say to everybody on this line, and for all of the directors and all of my colleagues, we're going to have to do something different, because what we're doing is not working. And in the meantime, children are losing their lives. Innocent bystanders are being laid to their graves. And this is all that we have to offer. It's not a good look. And it's definitely not a good place to be in history. And so I would say thank you to all of the public that has come forward tonight to offer their opinion. Your opinion matters. And to everybody on this line, I wish you a safe return to your homes this evening. Amen. Mr. Collins, I would like to move for an adjournment.
I have an adjournment from Council President McBride. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Councilmember Vaughn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So ordered. We are adjourned at 8:54 p.m. Thank you very much, everybody. Please be safe and well.
Thank you, sir.